Good evening, everybody. We'll start in just 1 or 2 minutes. Thanks. Why don't we go ahead and get started on the Finance Committee meeting for Monday, December 8th. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We have the full committee here, as well as Council President Keppel and Mr. Evans from Ward 2, and the administration. We've got a lot of ground to cover tonight. We've even got a break with food coming for everybody to enjoy at the midway point. We're going to have a couple of motions to make, but while I get my machine booted up and the proper screens here, what I'd like to suggest is that we go right into the Human Services Department and keep on schedule the presentation. In other words, any actually I should gesture over where? Chad or Director Barry. But first, council members on the committee or otherwise, any opening remarks? Just jump right in?
Jump right in.
Okay. Let's do that, and then we'll circle back to procedural motions. So without further ado, Human Services Department. Welcome.
There we go. Thank you. I'm happy to be here again, present our 2026 proposed budget for human services in all of our divisions. This is our typical slide you've all seen. I think go ahead and skip this. This is, I've tried to make this a nice and illustrative presentation. Obviously, we have a lot of substance in here, but this is the work that we do every day. This is one of our events this summer, and this is what we're bringing to the community. This is our overall Department of Human Services accomplishments and kind of strategic goals. 2025 was a really good year for human services. We got a lot of outside funding, and we created a lot of new programming, which is what one of our goals has been for many years now, is to kind of really increase our programming and our opportunities. Now that we're in our new space, we're really coming to our own. We actually obtained a $17,000 National Parks grant that allowed us to really update our outside space. If you've been over there recently, it's really, really nice. It's really attractive. Obviously, we can't use it right now because we live in Ohio, and why we chose to live here, I don't know. But when the weather is nice, it really attracts a lot of folks. And we had a Common Ground event where over 450 people came and participated. There's a whole new space that attracts younger folks. There's age-appropriate play apparatuses and all sorts of great new things. Another big thing that we have accomplished this year is the generator's been installed and it is up and running. So we are ready and willing and able to address any kind of crisis situations that come up, which, as you all know, this has happened multiple times now. So Cove is ready to be open when there's a crisis, which takes the power out, which is a frequent event. We've also spent a lot of time training on emergency management and kind of understanding how human services as a whole can approach those situations. You can see our strategic goals there for 2026. We're just, again, continuing to expand our community outreach. We're really also looking at our staffing structure and how we have, historically done things. We're trying to determine how we can serve the community better and how we can move staff around or create positions or modify positions that currently exist to really satisfy community needs, and really develop a position and develop a response to adult crises 18 to 59, because that's always been an area that we haven't really had the opportunity or haven't had the, we have the Division of Aging and Youth, and they cover those age ranges, but we've never really had someone or an area that's dedicated to that middle age range. So we're really kind of pushing that this year, and a lot of collaboration between us and the safety forces in the city and our community partners. More fun photos. That's a trellis actually was built by one of our public works folks. on his free time and donated to Cove. It's very, very nice. But just bringing in a lot of beautiful beautification to the outdoor space. So our first budgetary area is our Division of Aging. You all know the core services that we provide. I think this year we've expanded our early evening programming. We've really promoted the intergenerational program, again, through like the Common Ground. And we've collaborated a lot with fire and police, again, on those crisis issues. Next year, we continue to hope to outreach and connect the unconnected residents, develop a greater variety of programs, and really broaden outreach to the underserved groups that exist in our community. I think we've done a much better job of that as of the last year or so. And I think a lot of the communications that have been coming out of the city through Kevin Wayner, and we've also kind of pumped up that area as well, has kind of really helped draw folks in. One of the major budgetary highlights of the Division of Aging is a pretty sizable increase in our contractual services line item for our senior transportation connection contract. They are currently going through what everyone is going through when it comes to transportation or provision of any kind of service in the county, and they have kind of increased their fees. So we've had to commensurately raise that contractual services line item by about $126,000. That's just an estimate based on previous years. I think we'll probably come in under that. I don't think we're going to use that whole contractual services line to fulfill that contract. But from my perspective, Senior Transportation Connection offers a unique service that is, one of a kind here in Cuyahoga County. They do an incredible job, and our seniors really benefit from it. And if we weren't to have done this, we would be reducing the number of trips potentially, and reducing services to our seniors that really rely on this. So it was one of the major things that unfortunately happened, but they are very committed to addressing the cost and hopefully bringing it back down to a reasonable rate as they figure out outside funding and other sources. Our Division of Youth has really been cooking with gas. They had a lot of great accomplishments this year. Our back to school resource fair. We gave out 125 backpacks to families. 62 of them were from Lakewood. And, it really helped out a lot of families that struggle at that time of the year. We're starting to kind of realign the staffing structure of that department as well. Summer camp for H2O has been at the highest capacity it's been in years since COVID. And they're doing a lot of really interesting and innovative leadership training amongst youth through the Spirit of Leadership course. In 2026, we've already kind of established some opportunities to partner with Job and Family Services for benefits clinics at Cove. So folks on this side of town, because there aren't any clinics of this type really on this side of town, can come to Cove and get their benefits squared away. And if they're having any issues, they can talk to someone immediately instead of going through the rigmarole that a lot of folks go through to kind of identify any benefits issues that they might be having. We're expanding our family programming. We're increasing educational offerings, and we're really kind of aligning H2O with its servant leadership plan, and we're going to be doing some strategic planning on that. One of the budget highlights, we've added a visitation coach, or we've modified a position into a visitation coach. Visitations have been really up over the last number of years. The county is really struggling with finding places to host visitations, so we've modified a position that's existed, a full-time resource specialist position, into a visitation coach. It's aligning the needs of what we're seeing with what we're doing. So it's been an incredible benefit to do that. More great work. Division of Early Childhood. is really creating a lot of interesting and innovative programming. They're as busy as always. We've created a grandparent caregiver program because we noticed that a lot of the folks that were bringing in kiddos, they weren't your parents. They were actually the grandparents that are taking care of the kids during the day. So we really wanted to create a program for them specifically and for kinship caregivers. We've expanded the expectant mother programming quite substantially, and we actually just received some funding from the Healthy Lakewood Foundation to continue that work. So it's going to be even better next year. We've really created a lot of new community partnerships and, you know, like I mentioned earlier, created that outdoor nature play space. So we're creating new and nice opportunities for kiddos and folks to come to Cove. Next year, we're planning to launch the Parent Advocacy Group. We really are thinking about gathering insights on family needs and understanding what folks in what the child care scholarship, what the needs are, what the community is actually looking for. We're looking at different opportunities to maybe engage some outside assistance with that and really kind of tailor what we're doing. And that's really the message about what Human Services is doing right now. We've finally come into this space, and now we're really trying to understand what does a community need. We've always saw that, but now we're really trying to tailor what we're doing to the community's need, adjust staffing appropriately, you know, identify opportunities for outside funding to support the community. But it's really at this point now we're trying to figure out you know, what we can do to improve our programming and everything to support the community better. These are the new outdoor play spaces. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Director Barry. I've got some questions, but let's open it up to other council members of the committee. Sure. Mr. Baker, and then.
Thank you, Director Barry. And I always ask, and I'm just curious on the child care scholarship. You know, I know some of it was funded with some ARPA funds, and some was funded, I think, through federal pass-through money. How has that been going? Are we seeing the spend from it that we expect, or is it underspent? And kind of what's the trend lines?
We have been seeing a consistent spend on that. You know, the money comes from the community development block grant dollars, and we also did request some additional funding from the Healthy Lakewood Foundation, which we've utilized. We noticed that we need to do this assessment of the community and see, you know, is this the actual need? I think it is. I think it's certainly a need, but is this the right program? Are we doing justice to the program? Can we expand the program? How do we do that? Are there other opportunities to partner with the child care centers that are in Lakewood? We need to really do a strategic assessment of how we're operating the program. We have recently seen an increase in folks that are applying for the program post-COVID here. In the last couple months, it's gone up a number that has not been typical, but it has been pretty stable. But the costs of childcare are up so much that our dollars do not go as far as they used to. And that's really the issue, is that the cost is just so high that we're not always able to help more people because of that fact, where we'd like to.
So I guess within that, I assume that assessment is going to take into account the fact that the schools are intending to transition Lincoln into a early childhood education center. And then secondly, is there enough money in it, or are we turning people away now at the end of the year because there's not enough money? I guess it's just bluntly.
We've been able to obtain outside funding, so we've never had to turn anyone away because of this. We have also engaged the schools and had conversations with the superintendent and the early childhood leaders that are in the school district, just to understand how they are thinking about this whole plan and this whole transition, and making sure that, you know, Jessica has created an early childhood committee where every leader of every early childhood provider in Lakewood comes together, and they all share very openly about the challenges that they're facing. And I think that's one of the key things in bringing in the schools. We've had a couple of meetings that have done that. So I think we're preparing and understanding, and I think we have a good idea of how all of this is going to come together and how it's going to impact the community. I think we really need to have this larger outreach that we'll be kind of running to understand what the community need is currently and what the demand might be if we were to increase our marketing. But I think we're in a good place, and I think we're doing really well with what we have, and I think we're in a good place right now.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Striebeck?
Thank you. I have a couple questions and a couple comments as well. First of all, your organizational chart is fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting the names of the employees on here. And Mayor George and Director Mahoney, next year, maybe perhaps encourage every department to add the names. I think that this is outstanding and very helpful to me as I'm trying to navigate through the phone lines and find the people that I need to specifically talk to. I did have a question about the budget number under the Division of Human Services Administration for other. I'm always interested to find out what other is because I see an increase of 39% on that one, and I understand that the contractual services, that's up 205%, and that's the transportation there, I'm thinking, for the seniors. Is that true?
So the one you're seeing under the Department of Human Services, specifically the contractual services line, up from 14,000 to 43,000 there.
Yeah.
That is actually, I'm sorry I didn't include that in the presentation, but that is actually, as with everything else, we've, now been in CO for quite a while at this point. We have identified a lot of different needs that have come up. We've created systems to kind of understand the demand on our staff members, especially our janitorial staff and our maintenance staff. And we've noticed that our one full-time maintenance person is, struggling, obviously, to do all of the work that needs to be done and make sure that it's a very clean and presentable and a high-quality facility. We do have a part-time custodian as well, and she does an incredible job, but we have kind of identified the need, and this contractual services line is that identification of that need that we might need to look at outside cleaning assistance, which we've done elsewhere in the city, and identify a contractor to come in maybe later at night or off hours, because that's also a challenge when you have folks that are working, city hours for the most part. Our part-time custodian does come in later in the afternoon and does that kind of off shift, but there's events happening all day. There's events happening right now as I left the building, and it's very hard to clean the building and maintain it to the level it needs to be maintained when there's a chair yoga event happening right there in the space that I need to clean up for an event that's happening right after or the next day, and then we have the rentals on top of that. So this is an identification of a need, and I worked with the mayor and the administration to kind of find the funds to go out and identify a contractor to do that.
Thank you. And then the 39% increase for other, do we have any ideas what that might be?
Printing? It's a printing of our calendars and other materials. It's a huge part of what we do, especially for the Division of Aging. A lot of printing goes on, a lot of printing in general. We're very paper heavy because we have a lot of different folks that's the only way that they access their information. They're not all connected to the internet or social media. So
Thank you. And lastly, just a comment. I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that because of the programming that is done in the Human Services Department, we have, for the second year in a row, had a perfect score on our HRC MEI. And now, because our sister city to the east is no longer at 100, we are one of 3 cities in the state of Ohio with a perfect score. And I would like to thank you again for all your work to make sure that we continue to maintain that score. Because it is important to the LGBTQIA plus community. I know when Kate and I travel, we definitely look at where are we going, right? So that becomes an important thing if we have out-of-towners coming into our city. And along that same line of welcoming the queer community, as you all probably have heard, Studio West 117th is closing, and we're losing space there. So to reach out possibly to some of the groups that we're meeting there, I know space is limited and times are limited, but that would be very much appreciated for our community. Thank you.
I'd appreciate that connection if you can help me facilitate it.
Sure.
Thank you. Other council members? Councilwoman Steiner, anything? Okay, so Councilwoman Keppel? Okay, I've got some follow-on, essentially in the spirit of what Councilwoman Striebig was asking, and that is just to make sure I clarification and understanding of the proposed budget amounts. So first of all, Chad and your team, thank you for your good efforts and for investing in the Cove Intergenerational Community Center to make it a flowering space, and that I know is a team effort. And I agree that's a nice organizational chart so we can track. I mean, council members know staff, but it's even stronger if we know, oh, right, this person has this role, et cetera. So that's a nice way for us to firm up our understanding. So rapid fire here so we can keep on schedule. So for administration, there's an 11% jump in proposed expenditures. I think, is that the proposed contractual increase for part-time custodial services? Is that what you just covered with the councilwoman? I'm looking on page, the summary charts in the budget book.
I believe it's that, and also salaries and fringe benefits.
Okay, and I do notice salaries are going up quite a bit, and I'm trying to find if that's headcount. I think, how are you proposing?
There are now a number of people that are directly under the Department of Human Services that weren't there before and might have existed in the Division of Aging's.
Aging
budget.
seems flat. Youth is +1 but -1, so flat, but that's not true. One additional part-time, one additional full-time, one fewer part-time, according to the budget book. And then let me just try to find. So it's largely flat, but I mean, sometimes it's the way we account for benefits, or can you address that, Director
It's
Maloney?
also the 27th pay. So it's a 6% increase from 25, but you have to include the 27th pay in there.
Okay.
So 3% salary increase and the 27th.
So in other words, the Finance Department's view is this is largely flat. There's an increase of a half-time FTE, and then there's a proposal for contractual services expansion for custodial services and for aging transportation, it sounds like, Director Barry?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, or is that a fair summary?
Those are two separate departments where
I mixed.
you're mixing up. Yes, but generally, in general, that's their increases.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just want to get clarification on that. The 27th pay point is a good one. So, Director Barry, you said for the aging plus 126,000 in proposed contractual services increase, that's a not to exceed. You think that we'll hit that or come in under it, it sounds like?
I believe we'll come in under it.
Okay, and they are addressing the cost. Who's they?
Senior Transportation Connection themselves are addressing the cost. They're lobbying Columbus and all of our local partners to get additional funding to reduce it. This is just obviously a personal opinion and how I've noticed how they work. They've never said something like that to me and not come back, and they've always been truthful.
Okay,
so
they're working to...
I have really high hopes that they will actually address the costs and not just leave them at that once they are able to make themselves, whole or sufficient.
So they communicated with you several months ago at the
They
beginning
have.
of the budget process,
Yeah.
said, here's our estimates for next year. If they're higher, what was the driver again?
Costs overall, the funding from county and state and federal government has gone down across the board. We're seeing that in all of our divisions and all of our contracts to some degree.
Okay.
So they're just dealing with that. Transportation is also a very expensive and very difficult thing to run. The actual physical vehicles now cost $1.2 million, you know, half the time, or they cost 120 grand when they used to cost 50. So the just cost of everything is
Okay.
up such
So
amount.
inflation plus funding reduction from our partner layers of government. Does anybody have the White House's phone number?
Right.
Okay, thank you. And then DJFS partnership in Division of Youth, you've got a proposed 2026 partnership with the Department of Jobs and Family Services. Could that be useful to all clients of all ages, not just
Yes.
youth?
Yeah, it just happens to fall under that because that's where it originally germinated from,
Okay.
but it'll be available to every resident
anybody who
and
needs it.
everyone in our surrounding communities as well.
Thanks. Do we get funds from the county for the use of our space? And did I see on your slide, are you proposing +1 in staffing? I guess that's what is reflected in the binder.
Yeah, we are kind of working right now to address the staffing of that division, the Division of Youth and the Community-Based Services contract. What unfortunately has occurred is that the county, and you, I'm sure have all have seen this, that the community-based services, but county in general, Health and Human Services, has reduced the funding to that particular master contract by $1.5 million. We don't know the current impact on us. We're one of 10 providers. So right now I'm kind of in a holding pattern. I don't think we will definitely not be losing any staff, but originally the intention was to increase some staffing to help, because we were seeing 60 referrals a month where it used to be between 20 and 30. And they are very high acuity. There's a lot of need there, and you know, they really need some additional help in that area. But that is all county dollars that are funding that program.
This is from you, for youth specifically?
For youth
Okay.
specifically.
So and actually this is a good segue, final point for me. So could, with the help of Director Mahoney, we review the transfers and or advance numbers, which fluctuate? It looks like they're higher this year, lower next year, I think, in the proposed. And also refresh our memory. So I think the way that many of the positions in Division of Human the Department of Human Services works is we get the bulk, like 2/3 or 75% of the cost of personnel covered by the county, who's really administering state and federal dollars, correct? But then the city has to match a portion of that. And the way we do that is how? Space and part of the personnel costs, right?
Space, yeah. Everything basically for the Division of Youth, though, is covered by the county.
Okay.
And it's all on a reimbursement basis.
For that one specifically. And aging, there's a lot of federal, if I recall.
It does, yeah. But
Funding.
the general fund is much more supportive of the Division of Aging than it is. Youth is 100%
I see.
contractual.
Okay. And for early childhood, we have 1 FTE. That person is terrific.
And
We
that's
cover
all-
that, or
that's
is
all
that?
general fund?
Okay. All right, that's a good.
But we do offset it. A huge portion of our salaries and other programming. With
Okay, I don't know if
outside
that's helpful to other council members. You can benefit from refreshing my memory there. But the city, I think it's still true. I mean, we used to be bigger years and years ago, but we're still a large and significant and meaningful human services department, and not every community has that to the same degree. So, but Director Mahoney, the transfers and advances, now I've lost the page. I think it's at the beginning of the whole department. There's some overview numbers. Yeah, there it is on page 142. So this would be transfers, correct? Which means essentially general fund subsidy or investment in these activities. So it's $282,000 down from this year, $333,000. Any reason for that? Okay, well, we won't look a gift horse in the mouth, but could that number change, or if
Well,
we get?
and it sounds like the concern is adding another staff, and that would only happen if we had the funding, and so that doesn't affect the general fund at all.
Okay, so you're confident that we're looking at a $282,000 general fund investment. You know, the questions are just making sure we understand, have our hands around whatever the cost trends are, you know, without making a value judgment, just trying to understand, you know, what the city is proposing to do, what we've done historically, and Director Berry's done a nice job of, a fine job of presenting what the benefits and the outputs are. So thank you for those rapid-fire answers to my rapid-fire questions. Any other points to raise or ask with Division of Human Services? Hearing none, then I guess, Mr. Berry, you may feel free to go home and or do whatever you need to do.
Thank you.
Or stay and
Thank you all.
watch what comes next. Why don't we proceed to Division of Information Technology, Mr. Director or Mr. Manager? I'm forgetting what title I should be naming you. Chief Information Officer. Wonderful. Thank you. So would you like to proceed?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So 2025 accomplishments for IT. Big one was the cybersecurity program. Thank you to City Council for your assistance with this. In particular, Councilmember Hamilton Steiner. This was something that's been in the works for many years, but this formalized it and put us into compliance with the new state regulations. As you may have seen, part of this is a ongoing training program. So we've done, you know, the usual phishing training, but now there's going to be training from the Ohio Cyber Reserve. That's going to be mandatory training for the entire staff. And it's self-paced, but it's almost 2 hours worth of training, which is a big step for Lakewood. Another big accomplishment is e-citation implementation. So Lakewood Municipal Court got new software last year, and this finally has allowed the city to interface with the court system for seamless data transfer from the police department to the court. So the old ways of paper tickets going to the court and all sorts of manual data entry and mistakes, that's a thing of the past. Each police cruiser is outfitted with a citation printer. The violator gets one copy, but everything else is in the electronic domain, so that has really boosted efficiency. We completed the last year of our PC replacement cycle, so we do 3 years on, 2 years off. So we get 5-year warranties with the computers, so this just marks the 3rd year. This is actually still in the works right now. We just got fiber connected to Winterhurst for new security cameras. This was in collaboration with Assistant Director Boss. So this is going to be a major improvement. So this will be a live feed to the police department with brand new surveillance. Here's a snapshot of the budget. The 147% increase, we added some cybersecurity related services. Really the largest increase you're going to see is in professional services, and that's largely due to 2 big software acquisitions that I'll get to momentarily. But the first year of the software projects are heavy implementation costs. So it's kind of a one-time cost. And I feel inadequate now. I did not put names. I will mention the names for the record. So
Thank you.
obviously, Mayor George is at the top. Chief Information Officer, that's myself, Michael Coletta. And the 3 project managers are Joseph Picar, Edward Hassing, and Raymond First. I kept this in just for completeness, but this slide talks about a citywide phone system replacement. We have now since pushed it back 1 year. The current phone system that we have needs to be replaced by 2029. So this is fluid. We moved it back 1 year to 2027. This is a very large project, and what makes it very expensive is the actual phones themselves. It's a very simple cost driver, but this is a few $100,000s to replace the phone system.
Director Coletta, or
Yes.
CIO Coletta, thank you. I'm curious. So I know switching, do we have voice over IP or
Yes.
not? Okay. How many people actually use their desk phone? I know that there are, and I'm sure that's part of your analysis and maybe part of why you're pushing it off, at least I hope, because, you know, the common number or whatever, but there's a lot of ways to have things directly transferred to cell phones, and maybe you don't need that hardware, whereas some staff might need something like a phone. Are you doing that analysis?
Yeah, and, you know, on one end of the spectrum is, you know, going totally away from phones, and, you know, using, you know, something like Microsoft Teams and, you know, headsets. I think, you know, there's the actual phones themselves. So I think we're going to look for ways to whittle that down. Some areas are, you know, common area where it's tough to get rid of phones when it's, you know, shared space. But for people that actually sit in an office and have a dedicated phone, there's an opportunity to transition away from the actual hardware to something like a soft phone. You're talking about cell phones. Obviously, there's cost to the cell phone, so it's not a, you know, whereas an actual VoIP phone might be $400. If it's a city cell phone, you have an ongoing expense, which actually would be more expensive over time. So,
But how many city staff have cell phones?
roughly 200.
And so that's like, what's just interesting, because at every workplace is kind of dealing with this, right? Government's a little different in the sense that people expect someone to answer a phone. A little bit better customer service, right? It's part of our culture. We want to serve the public. But I think there are ways to, it's even like if it's say it's a common number, it just, you know, it just changes to a different person's actual cell phone when they're on call or whatever, right? So I'm sure there's software that could do that. So if you want
You're
to call
saying
it,
their personal cell phone?
no, like a city, it could be, so say, for example, there's someone that's a front desk of some department, and they have a city-issued cell phone. And I'm sure there's some software you could buy where it's like, from this hour to this hour, you click a button, it goes to this person, this, you know, so basically routing.
We have
the
that right
phone call.
now.
And so that's why I'm just interested, and I know we have the option in my workplace to like not have a desk phone, because a lot of us have cell phones, so it's like, why do we even have 2 numbers? You know, and then you can just route the office line number to the cell phone. So I'm just, if these things cost $500 or $400, so that all I'm saying is I'd really be interested in ways to bring that down and modernize.
Sure. Most of the cell phones in the city are for, you know, police officers that don't otherwise have an office. I mean, their office is the cruiser and Public Works and similar. So there are some employees that do have both an office phone and a cell phone. So to your point, there would be some opportunities for efficiency gains there. But to a large extent, there's a lot of individuals that don't have an office phone that have a cell phone. So, and the cell phones are an ongoing concern.
Mr. Coletta, following up on that point, though, let's say you're not a mobile employee, you work at a desk all day, you have some phone conversations, but you're not a customer service fielding incoming calls, you could probably just use your laptop.
That's correct.
So that, you know what I mean? I do take the point that Mr.
Yes.
Baker's driving at, and just as much as cost saving and efficiency is probably workflow efficiencies and all the rest, which you're all about those. But
Yep.
anyway, thanks for the thoughtfulness.
Sure. No, those are some good ideas.
Want to keep rolling? Thank you.
Here's a very large project. So this is a new, the fancy name is Enterprise Resource Planning. So think like SAP in the private sector. This is municipal ERP software, primarily for the finance department. So the GL, payroll, purchasing, and then also for utility billing. So in our case, water billing. This is going from a system that has its roots in the mainframe, so that's how old our current system is. We actually purchased it prior to my arrival. It was in 1999, pre-Y2K. The city had a mainframe, and this was the transition away from the mainframe to the mainframe's little brother, little sister, called a mid-range computer, so an IBM AS400. It has long been outgrown, thanks to Director Mahoney's leadership. She did a lot of hard work, put out an RFP, and the replacement system is going to be fully cloud-based, much more user-friendly for the staff, and much more available to interact with the public natively rather than add-on modules and sort of bolted on from the original design of the system like what we have now. And the good news is this software, while it is a bit more expensive year to year than what we have now, there is no hardware and software that we're maintaining in-house, plus the electricity usage of the system. So this will be a large effort to get the data out of the old system and import it into the new system, but a very, very big and positive change for the city of Lakewood. And along the same lines of new software, so the police and fire department, while their software is newer, it was actually purchased in 2017, about 2 or 3 weeks after we went live in 2017, the software manufacturer that we had purchased the software from was bought out by another company. And the new company decided to move to a couple of different product lines that they had purchased from another company, and they were pretty much saying what we had purchased they would continue to support, but it wasn't the platform of the future. So we have been using that software. It's been fine, but it's hosted locally. There's parts of it that are outdated. So police and fire getting a new computer-aided dispatch system. This is also cloud-based, much more modern, much more accessible, much more user-friendly. And there is a huge influx of new hires in both departments. So the expectations of what technology can do have changed greatly. So this is a evolution of basically our workforce and what is expected of technology. I'd mentioned the cybersecurity and awareness training, so this is just a slide mentioning that. And I don't know if we've reached the end.
Okay, thank you, CIO. Coletta, any questions from members of the committee? Additional questions, Councilwoman Striebeck.
Thank you. I'm very excited about new utility software, and Director Mahoney and I had kind of scratched the surface of this at a recent meeting about the possibilities, and maybe you can talk more about specifics. I'm specifically looking to be informed when I have a drip at my rentals with my water bill, that I know that there is some kind of technology there because I have called in to talk to somebody in the utility department, and they have looked at the data and said, oh yes, we see that you have a drip. And I thought, that's great. Could somebody let me know a little bit more ahead of time? And I'm wondering if this is something that the software potentially will do, and if there's any other wonderful things that, that can help our residents understand more about their bills with this new software.
I'm going to have to defer to Director Mahoney. I believe the drip or the water usage, I believe there is some capability for that.
There is. We did look into it. It's pretty expensive to have it available on a day-to-day basis, but I'm going to work with the utility metering department to see if we can't have a little more extensive analysis daily by them to let the residents know. But it will definitely show you your usage monthly, unless we decide to invest a larger dollar sum to provide. It can provide the daily. We have to do a cost-benefit analysis on that.
Thank you. And I'm wondering, because it is a resource, and a natural resource, if there would be possibly some grant funding somewhere to help save water.
Potentially, yeah.
Thank you.
But it definitely will be a better user experience on the website.
Thank you.
In support of Councilman Striebeck's line of questioning, I recall maybe 2 years ago or 18 months ago, a resident contacting me and probably some other colleagues about this very issue. I know that Public Works has a practice now of rebating one over use if your toilet's running or your sink's dripping while you're on vacation or away from your home. So that takes much of the financial sting out of it for that one use. But there's that practice, I can't recall it perfectly. I'd have to go digging for the email, Fred, but there's some glitches there even with our courtesy rebate that the Public Works has honored for quite some years. We appreciate that. And the thought also from the resident was, never, I appreciate that, and even if we fix the communication perfectly, we're still wasting a ton of water unnecessarily. So I think, to your point, Director Mahoney, there's a customer service expectation by the public that if we can improve through data and prevent problems or catch them earlier, we ought to be doing that. Now, it sounds like the vendor is up marketing up, the cost of that module, but could we make an argument that over time that would?
Like I said, there has to be a study done on that. Once we get more into it, we can make a decision on that. But and we often, it's actually the water department, the finances water department. They go back 4 months or so and look at the usage if there's a leak like that and bill based on the prior 4 months of use.
Okay, thank you. So we're crediting finance department. Mm-hmm. And all right, other questions? Mr. Baker.
More of a statement. Employer recently switched to Munis. It's not recent. I guess it was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I think you guys are Tyler Technologies, Munis, similar. Okay, and it's transition's hard for staff, so I'm sure you guys know that, and training them up and getting them used to it.
What's Munis?
It's the new software that the city is going to use for finance that Director Coletta or CIO Coletta was talking about. But it is really user friendly to the extent a finance software can be user friendly. So looking forward to it. Should be interesting.
Thank you. Others? I've got a couple more. Again, rapid fire, so we stay on schedule. So mostly software, but one hardware package or hardware question. So I think I know the answer, but I just want to make sure I understand. So this is kind of a beginner's mind question. Why replace hardware so frequently? I know you want to stay within the warranty. Do we know for sure the cost-benefit analysis pays off, like we are saving on maintenance costs if we do it that way, or breakdowns that harm productivity by the employees?
You're wondering, why don't we hold on to
Aren't computers expensive? So if we're constantly getting brand new computers to stay under warranty, that does seem prudent, but are we overpaying, or do you think your experience and analysis shows that that's where we should be? I know that fleet management does the same, takes the same approach.
Mm-hmm. I think holding on to a personal computer for any more than 5 years is starting to reach the danger zone, especially in the business world. As far as the warranty, there could be an argument for, okay, get the standard 3-year warranty and then shop around for, years 4 and 5. We actually used to do that. There was a local company that would do out of manufacturer warranty support. I didn't feel that the value was there. Quite frankly, the same company happens to do support natively from the manufacturer. So I thought the pricing was inconsistent from RFP to RFP, and it was easier to just to stay with capture the cost right up front with the purchase of the asset, and deal with it with. I mean, we would have a mixture of assets covered by this third-party company, and everything was a la carte. So monitors, PCs, it just, I didn't really see any cost savings doing it that way, but yeah.
So we're purchasing new with an extended warranty of 2 extra years? Is that what we're currently doing? What happens to the old equipment? Just recycle? Or do we get any cash out of it?
Well, some of them we hold on to just as emergency backups, and then others we put on gov deals. Okay,
so do we recover some cash value?
Yes.
And how are we financing this, Director? This is not debt, is it cash, or is it a lease? That term lease means like a car loan, I think, in municipal finance.
Cash, right? Yeah, this is all cash.
Okay. So where do we see that in the chart for the division? Is that on page 75 in the budget book? Is that, I'm not sure I see capital for this year or next.
Right, those next year and the year after are the 2 off years.
Okay, so we'll see it proposed for 27.
Correct.
Okay, you're just giving us a look ahead. So the 175 for 2023 and 4 were cash for hardware. Got it.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. All right, next, just quickly, the software side. Is it accurate to say after the first year install, the ongoing annual subscription is a lot lower, or only a little?
Yeah, I don't recall what Tyler's upfront was.
Because we've got 1.3, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5, and now 2 million for professional services.
Right. So for the public safety software, year one is $750,000. Years 2, 3, 4, and 5 are around 200,000.
Okay. Understood. And then, are we trending towards, I remember years ago, there's trends in IT, just like anything, one master database for all purposes or custom software for each department or function? Are we which way are we trending these days?
It's kind of a complicated answer, but in some respects, so for the ERP, that's one system. Tyler, for example, makes software for public safety as well. But I would say we're pretty much in what I would call best of breed. So not the same system for every single department. The departments are so different in needs that even the systems, for example, Tyler, and I can't speak to Tyler specifically, but a lot of these municipal software suites are cobbled together. They're purchases of companies that were separate to begin with. And other than the name, does the city want to pay one vendor versus X vendors? The synergy is there in certain aspects of the software, but largely, to me, it's overstated.
Okay, so we're proposing, our current approach is best package that we can find. It costs, but it's an investment in productivity.
Correct.
And we save on data management, reduce workload, error, things of that nature. Are they giving us a discount for the CAD software package since they did that early retirement that we paid for?
Well, we complained. This is a totally different company, so that company has now lost the city's business.
Okay.
So yeah.
I see. I didn't follow that. All right. How many different software packages do we have? A dozen? Half dozen?
Oh, geez.
Just ballpark.
Like 30.
Okay, so lots.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you keep either organized notes or
Well,
a little sleep.
So, for example, animal control. They were using a module of the current public safety package. The new system does not have a module for animal control. So we've now added a small package that's dedicated. So, that added one vendor. Our refuse department has not used commercial software, and right now we're about to acquire some. It's relatively modest, a few $1,000s, but it's a first for that department. So it changes over time. When I started with the city, it was, let's put everything in this ERP system. And I heard nothing but complaints from certain departments. Housing and building said, this is horrible. This, it's hard to use. And who was I to disagree with them? They're the experts in their line of work. So we ended up changing, and now I think we're 3 systems off from what that was. But finance, this whole time has been on the same system. So, and to Councilmember Baker's point, the change management is is huge. Depending on who sits in various seats can dictate how easily or how difficult changing systems is. So I think with Director Mahoney coming in, having a fresh insight and appetite for taking on the change, you know, when you have leadership that is willing to take that on, it makes it much easier, because there will be some resistance from the staff. It's just no one likes to change, particularly employees that have been in their positions longer.
Well, thank you, Director Mahoney. You're talking about the Finance Department?
Yes.
Package. Okay. Thank you for all of that. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll keep pressing forward. Appreciate the somewhat deep dive into this. I think, you know, IT is not an accessory. I mean, Councilwoman Keppel, who knows something about technology, probably could vouch for that, right? It's central to so much of what we do for quality and efficiency and accuracy. So thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, and I think that was a plant, so that's a nice segue to the Division of Building and Housing, Mr. Parmalee, Commissioner Parmalee. You can tell us all of the lore and the shop talk about IT, fan comments before the current software package. Or not. Actually, you can focus on your presentation. So when you are ready, please take it away.
All right, good evening. Here we go. Year in review. City of Lakewood Building Department, Department of Housing and Building. Baby. There we go. All right, a little bit of description and function. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what we do and who we are, but we'll go over it. We manage housing license process, manage the contractor licensing and registration. Food trucks isn't on here, but that's what we do as well. That whole process, get it ready for fire. We manage our tax abatement program for eligible projects for 1 and 2 family homes, individual condo units, and then the CRAs for the way bigger projects. My friends in planning spearhead that one because they're way smarter than I am. We assist Board of Zoning Appeals and Architectural Board of Review in those public meetings. Construction plan review and approval. So anybody that submits construction documents, addition, new construction, renovation, we're looking at those for compliance with state building codes. Segueing into the next one, code enforcement, state building codes, both commercial and residential, and then our own codified ordinance, usually 1306. That's our local safety and maintenance code. Kind of specialize in housing safety, preservation, and improvement. By the numbers, so certificate of code compliance inspections, that's the point of sale that municipalities refer to. Anytime a rental property transfers, we do those inspections. And then that also includes new businesses moving into the city. So by the numbers, finished this report right around the 10th of November. So there is a little bit of increase involved here, but not much. That's up about 19%. Complaints were up this year. High grass was up a ton. It's almost 40%. A lot of high grass complaints this year. Proactive inspections, that's when a property maintenance inspector is out and about and they're looking at something and just happen to stumble across something else. Property maintenance and safety inspections, that number's a little skewed. Those are what we call our rental inspections, our annuals that are actually, we try to do them every 3 years, but that may be a stretch. I have those, the property maintenance folks focus on those inspections during our air quote off season when, high grass isn't there, properties aren't transferring as much. So we like to ramp up those inspections right around this time of month, early December, and try to grind through into February and March to try to hammer out a lot of those rental inspections. But all in all, total volume of property maintenance cases that were created, 1,600. It was up 17% from last year. And that's 4 full-time property maintenance staff with 1 commercial property maintenance that does the majority of the multifamily complaints. Construction, commercial permits down 6% this year. Sure doesn't feel like it, I'll tell you that much. Residential permits, a little bit of an increase. Total volume, permit-wise, in and out of the shop, just north of 2,000 permits, spread across pretty much 4.5 inspectors that are boots on the ground all day long. That construction valuation is bananas. I haven't seen anything like that since 2017 when we did all the schools. But, you know, we have a $98.5 million project downtown, a couple apartment buildings down at the end of the block from us, Councilman Bullock, that are going pretty smooth. Future townhome development, groundbreaking should start this week over on that Thoreau project. But a lot of stuff came through this year. Pretty exciting stuff too. A lot of large scale construction projects that we don't get to see a lot of. Keep going the wrong way. So plan review, anytime construction documents come to the city, we have to do a plan review on those, be it residential or commercial. State of Ohio gives all certified building departments up to but not exceeding 30 days to get that review done. We hover around 12 to 15 days. So we get them knocked out so people can start turnkeying their projects. So the commercial plan review, I say about 80% of those we have to send outside to third-party examiner because we don't have a master plans examiner. But the plans so master plans examiner, anything, you know, anytime construction documents have electrical, plumbing, mechanical, all included, the state of Ohio Board of Building Standards says an MPE, master plans examiner, needs to review those plans. We have 2 contracted plans examiners, both with between the 2 of them, it's right around $45,000, $47,000 a year under contract. You're not touching a plans examiner, which is more or less, it's going to be a registered architect or design professional. It's about $120,000, $130,000 a year salary. So that $42,000, $45,000 we spend goes a long way. Residential plan reviews, those are all done in-house. 100% of those are reviewed in-house in the building department. So, you know, 700 construction documents, and a lot of those we review. You know, not everything gets through on the first pass. So, you know, you could probably take that 300, add another 200 to that just for re-review, revisions. So in total, about 1,000 plan reviews here in the city of Lakewood for construction projects, renovations, new builds, additions, et cetera, et cetera. Some accomplishments for 25. I was really excited about the first one. I've really been wanting to digitally archive the large-scale plans that we've had up on the 3rd floor for years and years. We've had estimates anywhere between $500,000, $700,000 to digitally archive this stuff. Stumbled across a company, Starpoint Global, out of the Carolinas. Worked with Director Coletta. He was a huge help. You know, the mayor was 100% for this too, to kind of modernize a little bit. We budgeted $120,000 for a year project. That company knocked it out of the park. 73 grand, took them about 6 months. So I have about 38,000 archive sheets of plans to my fingertips. I mean, it's great. So it's made public records requests way easier when, I mean, I found original plans, St. Cyril, the building just west of that, circa 1938. Somebody actually wanted to see if we had the original plans, and we did. I mean, just the stone detail was really awesome. And they took the original blueprints that were blue with white, and they did reverse polarity. So everything came, it's crystal clear. And we had them, I worked with Mike Riley in my office. It's a searchable PDF database, but the way we had it laid out's impeccable. I mean, you can search by parcel number, by address, by subaddress, so it's pretty slick. Again, managed a pretty busy construction year. That goes without saying. Everybody knows what's going on throughout the city. Collabed with my friend Director Byington over there. We have a part-time zoning inspector that we're pushing for full-time. There's been a lot of complaints that the building department, we're not enforcing the signage. I mean, we wear 1,000 different hats, and it's hard to be everywhere at once. So Leslie's primary goal is sign compliance in the beginning with the city. She's found numerous businesses that never went through ABR, so they're going through ABR now. The window signage is getting cleaned up. Councilman Bullock, a lot of those awnings, the mold's being cleaned. We're getting some stuff cleaned up down Madison and Detroit that, frankly, we just didn't have time to get to. I know it's a sorry excuse, but it's the only one I have. So that's great. Leslie's been awesome. She's kind of a utility infielder between planning and building. That worked out really great. And I spent a lot of time with HR this year. State of Ohio took our licensing matrix and threw it in a blender. So any state certified inspector, they kind of tore down some barriers. It was one path, right? Like if you didn't have 30 years on the tools as an electrician, you're never going to be an ESI. Well, they busted that out now. So your time in a department, time in a trade school, time in an apprenticeship, that all adds up. So they kind of, instead of one ladder, it's a couple different ladders. Even permit technicians that are getting their base certifications with building departments, if they put a couple years in, they could start getting their foot through the door as an entry level 1 position, which was great. But it was a lot of workarounds. We had to take all the licensing that we had and kind of make it work with what we have now. There was a little bit of change because the building inspectors are all union employees. So we have the roadmap, pitched it to the state. We're good. We did the transition, and Claudia and everybody in HR, we worked pretty good with each other, getting that direction on how that new state licensing looks. So far, so good. Goals for 25. Going to continue the digital scanning, but it's in-house. So all the street files, we have over 12,000 street files for every property in the city. Didn't make sense to outsource that. It cost a lot of money. Mike, Director Coletta, got us a pretty sweet scanner that we have downstairs that does it rather quickly. So we're building that street file database. I think we're to the H's now, which is a lot when you're talking north of 12,000 files. So we have the same kind of searchable database built in with that as we did with all the large-scale stuff that was stored upstairs. Going to keep checking boxes, looking at ordinances that have direct touches with my department and other city departments to try to help streamline some processes. And I'm going to keep working with the trade schools. I keep going to Polaris every 6 months and JVS every 6 months and sit on the advisory committee for West Shore Trades program. And I actually, Garfield reached out to me about a week ago. They're doing an 8th grade trades program, which I thought was super cool. So they asked if I'd come in and talk about the industry, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. We're about 600,000 bodies short in the skilled trades across the country. So we need to start getting the youth interested in that, because that's one thing AI is not going to help with. Boom. And you can even go on the building department's website and see who's coming to your house, because all of our pictures and contact numbers and emails are up on the website. That's old hat. I've been doing that for years. So that's us, property maintenance folks. We have 3 property maintenance 2s now, which is pretty great. So they took the International Code Council Property Maintenance Inspector's exam. We have 1 to take it, but Mike Riley, he's I still call him our new property maintenance inspector. We stole him from front office. So he had that front office job for about 7 years and kind of brought all that carnal knowledge with him to the field. Admin staff, Diana Graff, she's retiring on the 31st, which is a bummer. She's kind of the office mom. Maintaining that full-time position kind of sounds like she's going to come back part-time. We'll see how that works, see if we can keep up. But she's going to be missed full-time for sure. Same folks. We haven't really changed much of anything. Justin's doing a really good job. That commercial property maintenance inspector position, I can't say enough about it. It's really helping with the apartment buildings, and having everybody knows they have that one go-to guy throughout the city, so it works out a lot. We have our frequent flyers, but keeping our heads above water. So there you go. That's us as a nutshell. And I leave it open for any questions or comments.
Thank you. Council members, questions, comments? Councilwoman Striebeck.
Thank you. Can we talk about high grass? Can you tell me?
Sure.
Because I see that that's a huge increase.
I don't know why it was so bad this year.
Now,
frankly.
is this like actual high grass, or is this a perception of high grass, right?
No, it's ordinance.
It's okay.
It's in ordinance.
So it's actually high grass. And do you have any insight into like why folks aren't mowing their lawns? Is
laziness? I have no
yeah,
idea.
well, that, or is it out-of-state landlords or
well,
possibly seniors that maybe need some help?
No, I mean, what we run into a lot is, you rent a property, you have this, handshake agreement that, you're the tenant, you're going to cut the grass, but
see.
at the end of the day, it's the property owner's responsibility. It's the building owner's responsibility. But yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of high grass, and we get out ahead of it. I mean, we do the PR campaign with the mayor's office and social media and plaster stuff all over the website, and I don't know if it's just new folks moving in, new rental property owners. We do the landlord training seminar, and that's kind of something I beat to death every time we do it, is shovel your sidewalks and cut your grass. I mean, the two easiest things you can do.
Right.
But that, if I had to take a guess, it's maybe new ownership, or, I mean, honestly, just laziness.
I'm just wondering
know.
if it's because the houses are, not all of them, but a lot of them are being purchased by out-of-state. And you're right, and there is an agreement, a handshake agreement, that you will maintain the yard.
Yeah, if you're an out-of-state owner, you need local property management company. I mean, that's what you're telling us you have when you register your housing license. You're providing us that local manager.
Yeah.
But I attribute a lot to it. Like when I rented, I always cut the grass.
And so then, what's the answer? Do we then penalize? Do we send a fee to the owners?
No, so we go out. I mean, we stopped sending notices because it's kind of dumb. Hey, I'm going to mail you something that you're going to get in 7 days. So we came up with this gaudy sticker now that we put on the window. It's a clean peel, so you're not razor knifing the thing off your window. But we take a picture of it. We create a case. It gives you your deadline right on the sticker on the front of the house. If you don't cut it within that, between 3 and 5 day period, and we have wet seasons, people go on vacation,
Sure.
we understand.
Sure.
If we pull you up, and we've had Citizen Serve software since January 7th of 2019, so if you're a repeat offender, we won't even entertain, your tortoise dying or whatever. So if you don't cut it, we send Public Works out, $200 a cut. And we post that notice one time. We don't keep going out. If we drive by 2 months after we open that case and you have high grass, we put it right on the cut list. We just don't have time to.
And then is that fee being paid, do you think, by the out-of-state landlord?
If it's not
is it
paid,
being paid by the tenant?
No, the tenant's not going to pay that.
Okay.
No, ownership's 100% responsible. So if they don't pay it, it gets assessed on the back end of the property taxes. So if you don't want to pay it, great. When you go to sell the property, 5 years down the road, you're gonna have some money you owe the city of Lakewood.
But that's not an immediate fix for that, right? I mean, if you're putting it on their tax bill, that's not going to come in till later.
Right.
It's still not the motivation to get out there next month, right?
I mean,
and mow your
$200 a
grass.
cut for a Lakewood yard. I mean, that'd be motivating me. It's
Yeah.
like 5 swipes with my mower. So,
Right, sure,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Thank you.
But it's always the same folks. It sounds like, but if you're on vacation or something, we're just cut it.
Sure.
We'll work with you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Other council members? Mr. Baker?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Parmalee. The one thing I'm always curious about is in the ordinance with the facade structural analysis, kind of, how is that going? How's compliance been?
It's been it's been smooth since the original rollout. It took a couple buildings a while to get it together. I think we actually just got 4 more last week, so I haven't ran a report in about a month, but I'd say we're 95% in compliance. And then we added a couple of years onto it too. I mean, we were requesting those every 3, and that's spicy in my book. So we're doing it every 5. So it's a blanket 5-year. So in 2027, those reports are going to need to be submitted again, and then we'll review that. But yeah, I mean, they were Isaac Lewin and Associates. I feel kind of bad for Isaac. He took the brunt of that. So
Isaac probably made a lot of.
I'm sure Isaac did well, but he took a lot of those. So there was a lot of promissory notes we got from his office, but they all came through. And nothing catastrophic, frankly, which was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think and appreciate your team's effort on that and the administration as well. I know it was a big issue after the garage collapse. But I think that a lot of these, at least if there's like any lending involved or like insurance, kind of coverage, that this is already required. And so hopefully it's just getting the people that don't have lending and don't have insurance, which we want to make sure that they're,
make sure they're, which is funny you said that, because quite a few of those engineering reports that came through that were still valid, in that time frame, were actually engineering companies doing the insurance assessment for the property. And the majority of the work has all been in underground parking garages. That's where that deferred maintenance needs it the most.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other council members? Councilwoman Keppel.
Thanks. Kind of following up on the high grass thing, snow removal. So a couple of years ago we had big snow and we heard about a lot, and it seems like this year's another year. So how do we, I know when I've gotten complaints from residents and I've called and you guys are great about it, but what is the process there? So if particularly in commercial properties with snow removal, is it similar to the high grass?
9 a.m. after that snowfall. So if we get bombed tonight, 9 a.m. is when it's supposed to start getting cleared. In the beginning of the season, the property maintenance inspectors are boots on the ground. I mean, they march down Detroit, they march down Madison. We do it every year, usually late September, early October, just reminding, because it's always the shop owners that are the ones that are going to get stuck doing it, unless you're a drug mart or something like that. Those commercial businesses like Family Dollar right now, it's an ice skating rink. They're horrible neighbors. We do it the same thing every time. They're on a clear list right now with Public Works. So if we visit you and nobody wants a business with this big gaudy sticker on the front of it, same process as high grass too. We don't send notices. We slap a tag, take a picture, create a case, move on, just so we can keep trucking. But we had Public Works clear the dollar store here on Detroit, not last year because they were pretty good, but the year before. I mean, between the dump truck, the Bobcats, I think there was like 6 Public Works because it was all iced up. I mean, I think they charged them something crazy. It was like $3,800 between manpower, equipment. So if you're commercial and you don't clear it, we'll have Public Works do it for you. But again, it goes to building ownership. And we focus commercial corridors, neighborhoods surrounding schools, and then we get into the normal part of the city, Marlowe Avenue, that kind of stuff. But our focus, commercial corridors, those neighborhoods that surround the schools. I mean, again, you have, 4, sometimes 5 property maintenance inspectors out there covering 180 miles of sidewalk. So we make sure we hit where it's important. Do we want to be everywhere? Absolutely. But that's our focus.
Thank you. And thank you I know you guys and Public Works are a little busy to be doing that for people who are supposed to be doing it themselves, but particularly in the commercial properties. And also, when you're talking about commercial, is also like the rental properties, like the multi-tenant sort of rental properties, because we see that as well.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other council members? Okay, I've got some rapid-fire questions. +1 staffing in the budget book is proposed. I think you may have covered that, Commissioner Parmalee, in your presentation, is that the current part-time zoning inspector
Yeah, plus one.
proposed to become full-time?
Half, yes, we cover half, planning and development covers half.
Okay, and so in the budget book on page, oh boy, 110, that position is being accounted for on the organizational chart for Division of Building and Housing, as opposed to Director Byington's side of the operation. Is that the idea?
It's in
Okay,
both.
Jessica, he's saying yes. Okay, so it's really plus
It's in both.
plus half position for Division of Building and Housing. And if I follow, that position is the one that covers the commercial retail and the commercial office daily, well, not daily needs, but ongoing needs. So when we see an awning problem or some other need, it might be sidewalk, it might be some other storefront maintenance issue, or perhaps a response to a complaint or a report that the interior conditions or the common areas might need some work.
Went all over the place there. So if it's signage and awnings, fantastic, that's Leslie.
Okay.
In anything that has anything to do with building components inside the structure, it's building department. And you said sidewalk, if the sidewalk's in, like, are you talking in disarray or needs cleared of snow and ice?
Well, you're right, I did mix a bunch of things. No, I meant
Yeah.
more maintenance, like it's cracked and broken and needs to be.
We haven't cited sidewalks in 10
Okay.
years, that's public
That's,
works.
okay, thanks
Yeah.
for refreshing my memory. So
Mhm.
that would be Public Works as usual.
Yeah.
So years ago, I got some feedback, and I'm sure other council members did, when, this is probably pre-COVID, when Lakewood property values were creeping up and landlords were passing on increased costs to tenants, or they were maybe just saying, hey, the market will bear a rental increase, so I'm going to pass it along. The tenants, I'm talking just commercial office, commercial retail, were this is word of mouth coming to at least this council person, that maybe the cost increase they were being asked to pay didn't match the quality of the space that they were occupying. And so the request from the tenant's perspective and other business associations was, hey, let's at least make sure that the quality of the commercial retail and office matched what we were paying for. But a lot of times the tenants didn't feel that they could call directly to complain to the city for fear of retaliation. Whether that's a fair perception on their part or not, I don't know. But so certainly I agree that the quality of our 100-year-old commercial office and retail properties is just as important and worthy of our attention as the residential side of things. So I think that was the genesis years ago, or the partial genesis of this zoning inspector. And so now we're happily doing that work. Thank you for the efforts on the awnings.
Mm-hmm. As for the inside, though, that's why it's imperative that when we have businesses move out, building ownership is doing their due diligence and saying, okay, tenant, now you have to apply for a CFCC inspection. That gets the building department in there to make sure that building's on the up and up before you get new tenancy.
So that term applies not just to residential rentals, but also to what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Madison,
yeah,
Detroit.
because earlier in my presentation, I mentioned, safety and maintenance inspections, so certificate of code compliance. Anytime a rental property is sold in the city of Lakewood, or we have a change of tenancy in a commercial space,
Okay.
we do those inspections.
And back to the point you were hinting at, how well are we doing in terms of property owner compliance or use of that system?
Mm-hmm.
Any way to know?
Certificate of code compliance inspections?
Yeah, like what's our rate of, how many property owners are actually going through the process as they should? If you had a pie chart, and how easy is it to track that?
I don't even know how you pen that metric.
Okay. As a rule, are the property owners doing what they're supposed to do, to your knowledge? Or do we often find, hey, there's a new tenant in and they never bother to contact?
Oh, that happens all the time, but that's when we stop by with the, it's not like we don't have new business packets online or available in the building department or all over the website or, anything like that.
Right.
So we
So
stop
we'll do our
by.
best if needed, after the fact to respond.
If we see a new business in there, we stop in with a new business package.
Okay.
We hand it to the tenant because it's tenant's responsibility to communicate this with building ownership. Just because you have a policy doesn't mean that, not everybody drives 35, so.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's nothing new, that's,
Yeah, but like I said, we find those all the time. Oh, well, I really didn't know, and then you have a couple, big business owners that they know better.
so the answer to the concern would be, the city has capacity, we're applying a mix of staff time, for sure the zoning inspector, but also the inspectors who are certified to do the interiors when we have the ability to inspect those.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Last question is, what does the zoning inspector mean as opposed to property maintenance inspector? That's the terminology. Does that mean?
What does it mean? We just try to delineate between property maintenance is enforcing everything in 1306, which I hate calling it our building code, but that's what it is.
Okay.
And the zoning inspector is tasked to have people comply with zoning law. So that would be your signage, anything that has anything to do with, Architectural Board of Review compliance when you get approval, BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals
Okay.
approval. So when signage
Outdoor
goes
dining
through,
permits or no?
say what?
Outdoor dining permits would be covered.
100%. And she's also going to pretty much spearhead it's going to be the sidewalk dining is what we're calling it, and ADA compliance at those crosswalks. So
Why don't we just call him a 1306 inspector? Everybody will understand. I'm joking. Okay, that was helpful for me to understand. Budget question. There's an increase in professional services proposed. Can you explain what those ongoing expenses cover annually? I did hear document scanning and plan review, but also what's the basis for the increase for next year?
what was the increase?
I'm looking, I had that in front of me.
It's the stormwater engineer.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's the stormwater stuff that's always in building department's budget. So we collect stormwater fees for the engineering department is what we do.
Okay.
So because everything I've been told over the years, because we've talked about this like forever, Jessica, too. So it's just we collect the fees for engineering. So when we do large-scale plan approval, anything over 8,000 square foot requires engineering approval. Cuyahoga County Soil and Wastewater, SWIP 3 approval. Because we collect the fees, that's why that money, that professional services for stormwater lives inside the building department.
Okay,
The
but
majority of our
this is the
professional
expenditure
services
side.
fees.
Maybe I'm confused a little bit. So just quickly to read into the record. So a couple of years ago it was 126,000, went down to 118.
Yeah.
This year it's 168,000. Next year's proposed to be 297,500.
Again, it lives inside the building department because we collect the fees, but much like we outsource our plan reviews, so does the engineering
Engineering.
department.
Okay, so
Yeah,
this is
they're-
a reflection of the kinds of permits you're receiving based
Yeah,
on the
'cause
scale
it's-
of the development that you're.
And it's, because
permitting.
we do so when we get the plans on intake, we take the civil plans and we'll send them to Engineer Papke, and then his staff will outsource where they have to send it or do whatever review in-house. They calculate their stormwater fees, we build those into the building permit, and those plan review fees, that's why we charge for plan review.
Do we cover all of our costs or not? Probably not.
On plan review?
Yeah.
We do as the building department, 100%, yeah.
But for those engineering costs, it's one for one?
It
Okay.
should be, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood. All right, that's helpful. And then final thing, also on page 108, can you refresh my memory at least? The Community Development Block Grant Fund is listed there. I'm guessing we're going to say that covers,
1.1 inspector,
okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is dedicated to certain,
low to mod areas.
okay.
Yep.
So that person, or is that covered across many personnel, or you dedicate one person?
Well, so it covers a lot of Jacqueline Verde. She is the property maintenance inspector for Birdtown.
Okay.
And then I usually, one other building inspector gets covered by that too, which is usually Ron Schwaben. But with the building inspectors, they don't have targeted areas. everybody's all over the entire city.
So you have a system for accounting for
Yeah,
a part of a personnel covers qualified areas.
because I need to
That's
prove
why.
that every year when we do the CDBG
Okay.
meeting, so.
Very good. Okay, thanks. That answers my questions. Looking like we don't have any others, so thank you, Mr. Parmalee, for the work. And
Thank you.
It was great. I agree with Councilwoman Keppel's point. I've had some correspondence with you. I can't remember, council colleagues, if I shared that with you. Mr. Parmalee requested that we share the sidewalk snow clearance.
We will take any bit
Obligations.
of help we can.
Yeah,
spread
I
the
know
word.
that the mayor's newsletter covers that too, but anything we can do to keep reminding.
Hands down, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before our break, which is now, could we entertain a motion on the committee to approve the minutes for the last council meeting, which is on December 1, 2020?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So that motion's been approved to approve the minutes from last meeting. And then let's just, without objection, recess for a break, a 15-minute break. I think there's food. Is that true in that room? And also, anybody is free to help themselves. Thank you. We're on recess. next year, to save money, we're going to get tougher. Apparently, land use. Like the price.
Political pressure.
Yeah, like, it's probably, well.
Yeah, well, that's a whole spring practice season.
We're going to get underway again in 1 minute. Okay, ready to resume? We're a little off schedule, but I think the break was welcome. Before getting into the next presentation, I'd like to do some housekeeping motions and before the committee. Council members, I just emailed you a link to a fast link to tonight's publicly posted agenda, publicly noticed agenda with reference to all the pieces of legislation that are on our docket. Some of those are in Granicus, but Granicus focuses on other things. So first, I'd like to move to receive and file some of the communications, items 10, 11, and 12. Am I on? Yeah, I'm recorded. Communication from Human Resources Director Dillinger regarding salary ordinance could be moved to receive and file, so it falls off our agenda. Same for Director Dillinger's communication regarding update to various employment benefits for non-union employees. And then finally, communication from council members Hamilton, Steiner, Bullock, and Marks regarding the resolution in support of the citywide composting program. We already moved.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to receive and file docket items 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, a motion been made and seconded. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, okay, motion has been made and seconded now. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and the ayes have it. Next, there's some proposed amendments or proposed substitute amendments by the administration of various items. I have that for ordinance 33-2025, and before moving, I want to make sure I've seen the others. Director Mahoney emailed to both the Finance Committee and all of Council earlier today at almost 2:30 p.m. a proposed revision to Exhibits A and B that accompany Ordinance 33-2025, which is the Permanent Appropriations Ordinance. It will be, in a second, a motion to substitute, potentially. But the reading from Director Mahoney's email, the only change is to include $1.5 million appropriated from Fund 404, the land acquisition, reduce Fund 401 capital improvement. That's a correction responsive, I think, to Council President Keppel's Q&A from last time. The net change would be 0 prior to submitting ordinance. Now, this is the administration's proposal, so the request is to reset the draft before us so that we can consider what the administration intended to propose. Is that it?
That's correct, yeah. And it's correctly reflected in the budget document. It was just added, summed up in Fund 401 by accident. So-
Okay, so a technical correction proposed by the administration. I think we have some substantive deliberation to do soon or very, before the conclusion by council to make sure we agree with what's proposed. But as far as the request to just get straight and clear what the administration is proposing, I'm happy to make that motion. So I'll go ahead and move to amend by substituting as proposed by Director Mahoney that motion, or that substitute.
For 33, 2025?
For 33-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and the ayes have it. The council clerk has also suggested to me substitute amendments for 34-2025, 35-2025, and 36-2025. I'm not sure I have Maureen, or Maureen's there, or Danielle. I'm not sure I have those substitutes, but perhaps before, maybe you could just bump that to the top of my inbox so I make sure that before the end of tonight's meeting, we know.
They are in Granicus,
they're
in the Granicus agenda.
Yeah, to the chair, I believe they just update the names of the officials in the kind of like recitals of the ordinance about who has contracting authority to reflect the code. So once you've had the chance to look at them, I'd be comfortable making a motion.
Very good.
to
Thank you.
substitute those ordinances.
Director Mahoney, is that, you agree with that?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Why don't we just do that now? So I'll move that we amend, I'll do them one at a time. So I'll move that we amend 34-2025 by substituting the alternate on Granicus.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Then I'll move that we amend by substituting the version in Granicus ordinance 35-2025.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. And then finally, I'll move to amend by substituting ordinance 36-2025 with the version listed in our Granicus agenda.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Okay, our housekeeping has been accomplished for this evening. Thank you to committee members and the administration. So charging ahead, now we're back to the Planning and Development Department, which is budgeted for as long as an hour. Perhaps we could catch up on some time, council members, if we can be a little bit rapid fire in our Q&A. But Director Byington, thanks for being here, for waiting till the later parts of the meeting. Please take it away.
Thank you, members of council. We have some new employees in our department this year. So Johanna Schwartz was a long-term administrative assistant for the department. We recently hired Carrie Coyce. She just started and she's doing great, so I'm sure you'll see a lot of communications from her moving forward. And as Commissioner Parmalee also addressed, we do have a new zoning inspector. I'll go into a little more detail in what she's done since she's been hired. We're very impressed with her. Otherwise, we remain staffed with planners, a development officer managing our federal funds, and a programs manager implementing the housing grants and loans. We continue to staff and/or support and show representation on many boards, most notable being the Planning Commission, Architectural Board of Review, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then starting in 2026, the Complete and Active Streets Education Committee. Major projects and initiatives undertaken this year in coordination with Public Works include various park improvements and ADA improvements, CDBG street resurfacing, Bunce Road rehabilitation and streetscape, design, the electric vehicle charging stations, parking meter upgrades, traffic calming implementation, Winterhurst Arena upgrades, tree giveaway program, and skate park improvements. We have continued our core services, which among other things include assisting developments through various boards and as part of their entitlement process, providing loans and grants to homeowners and small businesses, and providing public art throughout the city. Major non-capital programs undertaken include the active transportations and safe street implementation, public art implementation, the zoning code refresh, climate action and sustainability implementation, sale of land and properties, emergency residential rent assistance, small business assistance, and residential renovation assistance. Moving further into planning and economic development. This is a line chart that you see every year that represents the applications taken annually over the last 10 years for Planning Commission, Architectural Board of Review, and the Board of Zoning Appeals. It does not represent the multiple times that they may come back, one application to the boards. So we have 127 ABR applications, 33 Planning Commission, and 21 BZA. And then this slide represents what our new employee, Leslie Page, has been doing with the zoning inspections. So she was hired, I believe, in July. She really started her inspection process in August. As represented in this chart and graph, through November, there were 95 cases that she opened, with 59 cases successfully being closed. Further, 178 inspections were performed. The average days from open to close right now is 27 days. And Commissioner Parmalee went over, in general, what she's doing, but a little more specifically, she is, yes, looking at signage that has never been approved or that's in disrepair. She's monitoring the outdoor dining, and she's working on the awnings that are in disrepair as well. But also she's taking part in making sure that projects that go through ABR and Planning Commission are constructed, mostly signage, to the way that they were approved. That's something that we just really haven't had time to follow up on afterwards. So again, she's shown herself to be very valuable, and I think this position will probably morph a little bit as time goes on, but it's already helping both of our departments. As Building Commissioner Parmalee discussed, 2025 has been a really busy year for construction, with the total valuation of projects exceeding $169 million. The two largest projects that construction commenced on in 2025 include the downtown development project known as Lakewood Common and the Barry Buick redevelopment known as the West Line. So starting with the West Line, I won't go into great detail, but just a recap of the site plan, having two mostly residential buildings on the north and south side of Detroit with 124 new residential units and 148 parking spaces. And you can see here the renderings that were approved and the recent construction, which they're going very quickly on this, so we're very happy to see the construction moving along so fastly. The downtown development, known as Lakewood Common now. You've all seen this a million times, so I won't go over the project. We had the groundbreaking event in September, and Casto's been moving forward with the site improvements, and I think the general public's very happy to see everything moving along, despite the weather as well. Projects approved that are planned for construction in 2026 include the townhomes at Thoreau Place, located north of the tracks between Donald and Thoreau, as well as the view on Detroit East, which will be constructed at the previous site of the Spitzer business, and will have 120 apartments. Moving into park projects in general, we continue to make improvements within our parks with assistance from Public Works. We're diligently implementing projects within the Madison Park Master Plan, and we hold public input meetings at the parks prior to making the improvements and prior to the design. First, we'll go over Madison Park improvements. So last year I came to you saying this was, we were in the design process for the Birdtown Connector, and that has been constructed, and it connects through a vacant lot on Halsted to an existing path, which was expanded to make a loop path within the park. The farmers market at Madison Park is still very successful. The North Union Farmers Market was held for 20 weeks from June through October. There were 11 farms, 28 food vendors, 5 artists, 6 musicians who took part. Over $5,000 in assistance programs were utilized, and it is estimated that for every $1 spent, $1.60 to $2 was generated locally. For 2026, the futsal court renovation is planned, which I believe Director Gordon spoke to as well. The public engagement and conceptual design for Beck's Pool improvement is also slated for 2026, and we'll be working with Public Works in regard to the public engagement process. And then I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Director Boss to talk a little bit about Phase 2 of the skate park.
Hopefully everybody's familiar with, we completed the second phase of the skate park there in March this past year. Kind of highlighted the main elements that focused on in that northern and kind of western section of the existing skate park. So worked in close partnership with the City Engineering Division and Public Works to get this project funded, designed, and completed. And then while they were finishing construction and the final inspections, our department worked closely with the Public Square group to use the remaining contingency from the construction project, along with a donation from Public Square group, to purchase the pretty significant shade element there that was then installed by Snyder Recreation on the south end of the park. So glad to have this one done for this year.
Moving on to Merle Bunce Park improvements. New playground equipment was installed with the age group in mind of 2 to 12, provided a shelter for intergenerational gatherings and shade, a drinking fountain, and new picnic tables, benches, and trash cans. At Niagara Park, we also installed playground equipment, same age group in mind, ages 2 to 12, and a swing set for all ages, an accessible path connecting the park to a public sidewalk, and a paved picnic area was also constructed. New picnic tables, benches, and trash cans were also installed. Moving on to public art, the 2024 Spectacular Vernacular was the asphalt art implementation, which did not occur until 2025, but we believe it was very successful. Amanda Kramer from our department works really hard at implementing public art. As part of this process, she engaged the Hayes Elementary School students for some art ideas. And again, the purpose of this is to slow traffic and create a safer space for pedestrian crossings. The intersections were along Delaware at Woodward, Olive, and Carabel. The 2025 Spectacular Vernacular included utilizing artistic vinyl wraps on 42 traffic signal boxes. 11 artists were engaged through an RFP process. And we've heard a lot of good things from the public as well on this project. I'm not sure how much of the public is aware of our interactive public art map, so I don't know if, and I was going to try to get to that link. Can we do it from you see if you can shift? If I do shift, can you do it? Yeah. Okay. Oh, have you all seen it? No? Okay, it's pretty cool.
Could you send it to us, the link? Could you send us the link?
Can I send it to you?
Just an email, yeah, later.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's right on it's on our website. Yeah. Is it not going? Okay. Okay, so you'll see on there on the left-hand side, is all the different pieces of public art. So you can search things two ways. You can either go to the left side and click on the public art, and it'll show you on the map where it is, or if you go to the map, you can click on the map and it'll show you the piece of art and give you some details regarding the artist. So I think it's pretty cool. I don't think a lot of people know about it. And we've been talking about ways that we could maybe make this more fun for the general public, you know, to have some sort of, you know, outings where how many places can you get to, something like that. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention if you hadn't already seen it. Moving on to implementation of the Climate Action Plan. So the plan lists, as you all know, 50 actions to get to net zero, the net zero goal. So going through the actions within the plan, first regarding energy efficiency, the city purchased an electric Jaws of Life through NOPEC, with NOPEC funds. The city center EV electrical upgrades were funded through NOPEC as well. LED lights for the city center, the wastewater treatment plant, city garages, and city hall conference rooms were purchased with NOPEC funds. And then the first phase of the fluorescent bulb recycling pilot, which was funded through the county solid waste district, was started. So we bought the bags or the boxes that are required for the bulbs, but we weren't able to connect with the service provider to have them recycled. So we're looking to do that this year if we can get some funding for that. And then we installed the EV charger at Kaufman Park. Moving on to transportation, participated in walking and biking audit with the Bike Lakewood, ongoing audits to assess conditions in the school zones, installed 17 new bicycle safety signs, funded with donation from Village Bicycle Cooperative, repainted the Detroit Sharrows, partnered with Lakewood Schools and Bike Lakewood to facilitate Hike and Bike School Week up to 3 times now a year. We expanded the tree giveaway in conjunction with Public Works to twice a year and moved from 200 trees given away to 400 trees. Education and outreach, we have had some periodic sustainability sections within the city's newsletter, and we were awarded a recycling awareness grant through the county solid waste district, which allowed us to distribute 10,000 recycling education magnets. Extreme emergency management, we're utilizing Cove Community Center during inclement weather. And then I'm going to pass this over to Assistant Director Boss to talk about the EV charging stations.
Just very briefly, so we have 22 ports available. We just continue to kind of look at the distribution and access of publicly available chargers. This last year, we added our second new fast charger at Kaufman Park, which was a good addition, leveraging NOPEC funds for that. We continue to, as we work to expand the infrastructure, we really only expand the infrastructure as grants are available to pay for that equipment. And so Kaufman was funded through NOPEC funding. We are looking to install another DC fast charger this next year using NOPEC funds again at the City Center, which is one of our most popular level 2 charging locations right now. And so we're working again with engineering and public works to do the necessary power upgrades with First Energy to that site, which will also benefit a host of other users of that power, like Light Up Lakewood and some other things, since that is a very challenged breaker panel right now. So that's the next planned station this next year. The only other pending installation that we have is kind of hanging out there. We have worked with NOACA, and we were awarded a grant in 2024 for 4 ports in the red circle there at the intersection of Detroit and West 117th. That was a CFI grant, federal grant that came through NOACA as part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. and I don't know the status of that. I think that's just kind of hanging out there right now. So we have those plans. We're ready to work with NOACA if that funding comes through. But that's the only other piece that's hanging out there outside of our kind of normal pace of looking at NOPEC funding to increase the access to this infrastructure.
Goals for 2026 include exploring a sustainable purchasing plan, exploring pilot home retrofit project, and then working with council and specifically Councilwoman Hamilton Steiner in regard to increasing our composting. Looking back again, working with the law department on a balloon release ordinance, and then working towards certifications specifically to achieve the bicycle-friendly community designation, the Silver Solmart certification, and to attain Arbor Day Foundation Tree Growth Award. We continue to implement the Lakewood Active Transportation Plan and Safe Streets for All. And as stated before, we're working to implement the Complete Streets and the CASE committee in 2026. It's just a map from the plan, from the Active Transportation Plan showing the existing and proposed infrastructure improvements. And then moving back to Assistant Director Boss to talk about the neighborhood traffic and calming program.
It's everybody's favorite program, neighborhood traffic calming. So we can revisit this in greater detail, and I'm sure we will in the future. I just wanted to provide a summary of kind of above the bold blue line there at the top. That was kind of the initial years of the program. Went through 48 streets. Below that would be kind of what we're working through right now. 46 streets and block were in progress. We pushed out 18 determinations through October of this year. There's still 38 actively under study, and we are on pace that we get about 1 or 2 every week. And so it is something that we actively manage almost every single day. In terms of the streets that, and you can see kind of the map up there, those dark red lines of the streets that actually have the speed tables, which is our preferred kind of intervention. If we get to that point in the process, there, if you work your way down on the left to the 18 determinations made and communicated this year, 15 of those had non-qualifying conditions, and we communicated that. Some of those streets are receiving radar signs. That's kind of at the bottom there. We have 9 radar signs that we purchased this year that are waiting installation. 3 of those streets that qualified, 2 of them we've worked all the way through the process. Geel from Clifton to Detroit went through the whole process, and we got through the final petition there, and they'll have their speed tables installed in the spring. And I just finished Woodward this last week from Hilliard to Delaware, had the block meeting with them in November, and I got the final petition results just before Thanksgiving. And they also were able to document enough support on there that they will be getting their speed tables installed in the spring as well. I have 1 street, Parkwood, between Detroit and Franklin that I'm currently working through their initial survey on. And then we'll pick up with them probably in the spring when the weather improves. But that's kind of where we're at with traffic calming. It's a constant process. We work closely with the residents to try to resolve the issues that they're seeing, either through working them through our program if they have qualifying conditions, or through close coordination with the Lakewood Police Department and Patrol for increased or focused enforcement on their street and presence.
Okay, focusing in on housing and community development.
Pardon me, Councilwoman Keble wants to interject a quick question. Go ahead.
So I noticed at the bottom it had $60,000 as the budget request for the, what is that specifically for?
So that's $60,000 is what we've had for the past couple of years, and it's proved to be a good number, sufficient for to purchase the speed tables for those streets that make it through. Just based on the time in the study and then working with residents, it's a long-term process for these streets that do make it all the way through. It averages probably about a year in terms of study and then working between the block meetings and the petitions and everything. And so it's looking at Gill, Woodward, and potentially Parkwood. That's sufficient for those 3 streets if we needed to get tables for them in 2026, as well as kind of the radar, any additional radar signs that we work through that process. It's proven to be a good number, and that's why I've stuck with it each year.
You know about how much a speed table costs?
Each speed table's it's around $5,000.
And the radar signs?
Radar signs are around 2,000.
Does that account for any labor or just materials?
That's just materials. I haven't have not been asked to include labor based on just working with Public Works and Streets, that we do
Okay.
all the installations as part of their normal routine work schedule.
I mean, I'll hold my other questions for on program and substance for later, but it does sound as if the planning department is pre-estimating how many streets are going to qualify and budgeting according to your predictions, rather than
It's just
some
been
other
through
system.
5 years of experience.
Let's say
Yeah.
the need is higher, what happens?
If the need is higher, I usually would have to push that to the next year in terms of procurement and installation.
Okay, I wouldn't agree with that. I think you got to bump up safety as soon as possible, especially the modest costs here. But I understand what I think we're really addressing is the criteria and whether streets qualify for the existing criteria. All right, let's keep moving forward with the presentation. Thanks.
The next few slides are really in regard to CDBG and home and ESG dollars and what the Division of Community Development has been able to accomplish this year. And I'll try to move quickly through this. So we issued $225,000 in CDBG loans and grants to homeowners and property owners with low to mod tenants, rehabilitated 25 units of owner and renter occupied housing, completed 10 CDBG paint rebate program projects with the assistance of Lakewood Alive, administered the Lakewood's Fair Housing Program, processed 14 resident complaints, and conducted 30 fair housing rental and sales audits, and staffed the Lakewood's ADA compliance and reasonable accommodation program. We issued more than $125,000 in storefront renovation grants to 8 small businesses, which leveraged $350,000 in private investment. And we issued 2 Lakewood Small Business Program grants, one to a female-owned business enterprise, totaling $71,550, which leveraged $400,000 in private investment, retained 6 full-time equivalent jobs, and created 10 new full-time equivalent jobs. We also provided $700,000 in CDBG, ESG, and home ARP funding for social service programs that serve more than 7,400 predominantly low and very low income residents. The renovation or rehabilitation of 1472 Bell Avenue was completed, as you know, and we are going to be marketing that to a low mod income family. And that family will also be able to receive $10,000 for down payment assistance through home funds. We continued on the Nelson Court project, initiating phase 2. I believe you're all very aware of this project as well. 2 buildings with 4 units in each being renovated, and a 3rd story being put on for 1 additional unit in each structure. So phase 1, which was completed, was completely leased up in 2024. So moving forward, we're looking to complete at least 14 affordable housing loan and grant projects in 2026, at least 15 storefront renovation program, either facade or signage projects, complete phase 2 of the Nelson Court Home Multifamily Affordable Housing Project, partner with Lakewood Community Service Center to continue to provide emergency rent and utility assistance, utilize tax abatement as necessary to incentivize affordable housing units, support low, moderate income homeowners and tenants by investing CDBG and home funds into construction and renovation of affordable units. And we're going to utilize, for the first time this year, a little over $40,000 in CDBG funds to install public art, which would be 35 pieces of public art with the utility box, traffic signal box wraps, and 5 bus shelter wraps. So 30 traffic signal box wraps and 5 bus shelter wraps. You all are very aware of the Citizens Advisory Committee that we utilize to recommend budgets for our programs. And you also are aware of what the budget is for CDBG. So that was a total of $1.75 million, which goes towards streets, parks, implement housing and art programs, as well as much needed services for seniors, children, and low-mod residents. Emergency Solutions Grant primarily goes towards homelessness prevention. We intend to continue to partner with Lakewood Alive on multiple programs, which Council has seen a presentation on this as well. And then I'm going to turn this over for the remainder of the presentation to Assistant Director Boss.
So I'm here, my pseudo Public Works hat, to talk about Winterhurst Ice Arena and their budget request. So this is an update of the, I believe I was before the council in June or July with our last update on this project. So it's largely consistent with that. I added some slides, so we'll kind of, I can move through this quickly, but we have, just in terms of our 2025 accomplishments, which I don't really believe I talked about a whole lot in June and July. Learn to skate, learn to play, public skating opportunities really this past year have been put in place at a much higher level than we had during our first couple months and year of when we retook control of the arena. This 2025 was really the first year that we had full control of the ice schedule, and took advantage of that opportunity to really build in and lock in public skating, learn to skate, learn to play. All of those things were the first things that were added to the schedule, and pretty much all other tenant organizations or other organizations had to work around those opportunities. One of the biggest things that has grown this year has been our Learn to Play. In addition to increasing opportunities to learn to skate and the figure skating club and some of the other sports that we offer, it has been the Learn to Play hockey in terms of our partnership with the Cleveland Monsters and the Mini Monsters program that has really grown in 2025. And now looking into 2026, the program has almost doubled in terms of its capacity. And for most of that, that is a low or no cost program that full equipment's provided, and the benefit of that has been recognized by other communities, so much so that Cleveland Heights worked to start their own Mini Monsters program this last fall. So it's a good success story that continues to grow. In fact, this year we are actually, based on some suggestions, I think from our discussion back in June and July, our partners that run the Mini Monsters are actually looking to target Lakewood kids and families specifically in terms of pulling them out of wait lists and other things to pump them into and growing excess capacity to make sure that those kids get on the ice, just as it is a Lakewood facility. The new scoreboards are up and working. That has been an exercise in discovery learning for parents and everybody in terms of the capabilities of those is nearly unlimited in terms of what you can design, and those are going to take a pretty front-facing role with a lot of the holiday programming, open skates. There's theme skates and stuff that there's going to take full advantage of those ability to play movies and other things. It's there. I'll talk a lot more, obviously, about the locker room and the rink renovation project And we did begin kind of the initial scope, scale, and engineering work on the HVAC replacement project, which I'll talk a little bit about.
Yes.
Could I just ask, on the scoreboards, I don't recall, do those have the capacity, and are we if so, are we taking advantage of for them to be revenue streams in terms of advertisements?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, they are. That's one thing that that kind of open up that additional channel that you can have that, and they are. In fact, there was made the connection over the summer, and they're now building a closer relationship with the Lakewood Downtown Business Association to try to get more local businesses advertising in the facility. So that's a good. Just a quick snapshot on our profit loss. This was through October. You can kind of, I think I walked through this last year in terms of the natural kind of sine wave or whatever you want to say of the season, and we go into shutdown. And we have had 2 shutdowns the last, one each kind of springtime, which is a little unusual for Winterhurst. That in the past it had been, and we don't anticipate shutting down in 2026. So hopefully there won't be as much of a dip in there, as well as the expenditures that you normally have when you take the ice out and do the maintenance that we did. But we are fully back in the black in September, October, and then November. That total at the bottom left, that's the net income, kind of grows as the longer that we're in the black, it grows in terms of an operational reserve that we're then able to pull on for some of those larger expenses when we get into shutdowns and other those things. And that's now up to, if I looked at November's numbers that I just received, it's around 57,000. It's grown from 14 to 57,000.
While we're on this slide, can you repeat where that operational reserve is seen?
It's basically that bottom, if you go all the way down to the bottom right.
Okay, so currently this shows 14,902, but that is updated to 57-some thousand dollars.
At the end of November. Yes.
At the end of November. And this is all an enterprise fund? These funds are separate? Is that accurate, Director Mahoney?
Yeah, this is outside of the city's enterprise fund. Right, this isn't, yeah.
So this is managed per our contract, our operating contract. This is managed through Lakewood Community Ice.
So this is their private balance sheet?
This is their balance sheet for the facility that we reconcile every month.
And so what are the mechanics? They deal with all the income and they pay all the operating expenses, not the capital, right? And the contract dictates that they'll transfer funds to us annually or monthly or something?
They basically hold on to the reserve, and that's just how it's been worked out over the last year. It's been more efficient for them to hold on to the reserve because they use it and based on our direction. But based on the contract, we could legitimately pull every cent back every single month.
So that's an option for now. You're doing it that way.
It's just
okay. Just trying to understand. So I think that answers my question. Thanks.
We just found over the last 2 years of operating that this is the most efficient method, rather than them basically paying us every month and then us having to do invoices and everything back to them for all their expenses.
But what does our contract prioritize? I know we talked about this years ago, but it's great that, so we're upgrading the quality of the offerings to the community. We're certainly investing in, although it's the city that's paying for the capital upgrades, not the operator. Mm-hmm. But the operator then would be, at your direction, you would monthly or quarterly say, prioritize X and Y over something else?
It's weekly.
Weekly. And the kinds of things you're telling them are what, staffing and activities, or is it cleaning, or is it?
No, we work strictly on like programming priorities.
Okay.
And then I do review everything that supports those programming priorities.
Okay.
That's how it's
done. Another time, maybe in a public recreation discussion, I'm hoping city is getting feedback, and it sounds like it's you, Mr. Boss, that is running point on Winterhurst operations. So I don't know if we're getting feedback from the Parks and Rec, or the Rec Department, on, to the degree that they are involved in ice, in
They're not.
ice sports? They're not at all?
Not involved at all.
All right, okay, very good. All right, thanks. So you need a bobblehead because you're the Parks and Rec Commissioner. All right, very good.
So these are new scoreboards. I think I showed you this back in June, new scoreboards. Parents from our tenant organizations through the parents that come in for tournaments, very pleased, raving about the edge controllers specifically. It is a tablet-based system. It could not be easier to operate. And it is, we're operating with 2025 technology instead of 1990s like baseball scoreboard technology, and it is it's great. Knock on wood. It continues that way. You could, I mean, it's to the point where teams can type in their own names. We can program colors, all those things. Like it is, it's contemporary technology. So here's our capital plan update. Just real quick, the dash red line obviously is where we're at. So we are squarely in the build portion of the locker room addition and rink space renovation. Just as in terms of update, I think what I showed you back in June or July, the HVAC replacement, we have made the decision to push that into 2027 based on the estimated cost that we received from our vendor, which is Trane. And so it is a significant amount of engineering. I could go into some of that. I'll touch a little bit on those details. In the past, the cost is a little more than we anticipated, and so we're managing that. I talked about the locker room and rink space. The three main goals is to renovate those locker rooms, get them up to contemporary standards, and also capacity to support routine operations and tournament operations of the rink for all sports, whether it be figure skating, speed skating, or hockey. Looking at that indoor training space to get kids out of the parking lot for warm-ups and other activities, as well as offering a space for to offer additional services out of that building, and I can talk about that a little bit as well. And then renovating the spectator stands, making them ADA accessible, compliant, and updating those. This was one of the floor heaving issues I talked about over the summer. It's been fixed. It was a kind of a byproduct of the plant replacement in 2024 that we were experiencing some heaving. It's the one area that does not have in-floor insulation or heating, and they discovered an awful lot of groundwater runoff that was running between basically the soil and the ground, or the bedrock slate. And so that's that big bottom right. It's a big, that is a sump pump that was installed to pump the water out of that shale layer to keep it from collecting and freezing. And so it's one problem every day. You're just knocking them away as you go through it. So this was the opportunity during the shutdown that we had to fix this problem. It's a pretty significant problem. So those supply and return lines that you see on the left there, those are the main lines that feed both rinks. Those are now have brand new insulation on them, as well as that sump pump. And so we should not have any more heaving in this area. Ice was reinstalled, updated design on the floor. Looks good. Benches were fixed. People are happy. Temporary locker rooms. This was one of the biggest things with our general contractor moving forward with Rogers in terms of their plan that was that really made this locker room renovation feasible. So we were able to continue operations basically seamlessly and have been through the whole project. Once the ice was back in, rink came back to operation, Rogers tore down, rebuilt these locker rooms, and so the rink operates basically independently of the construction project, which is about as much as you can ask for. So minor inconveniences, we have adapted, like especially with the varsity hockey season right now. We've adapted some things with home games. Parents are a little upset, but they're adjusting that they don't have stands to sit in. it's one season. We're going to get through it. Everyone's going to get through it together. But it is an inconvenience, but that is one thing that we could not avoid for this. And so people are actually, for once, praying that their games are on rink 2 that still have stands. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly so you can hopefully get an appreciation of the work that's been done to date. The demolition of the old locker rooms was pretty significant. Had to cut that whole portion away from the building. You can imagine 50 years of electrical, plumbing, and other utilities that ran amongst all of that. They had to find, locate, separate, do all that work. And this is a view from one of the locker rooms looking straight up. They actually had to cut that whole portion away from the building before they could knock it down, so that we retain that interior, that critical interior walls there. And then they were able to take it down. Foundations went in. That's the new wall along the Warren frontage and the Lakewood Heights frontage, that corner. Awful lot of foundation and concrete work that went in. There's the new, that's the hole for the new foundation wall along Lakewood Heights. What you can see on the left was unexpected item number 1 that we encountered, which was the old City Ice and Fuel Company foundation that was still in the ground. It's about a 6 by 10 solid foundation of concrete that had to be cut through. So that added about 2 weeks of work.
Couldn't reuse it?
No, it couldn't.
I'm serious. You've reused foundations?
Now they needed, based on the engineering plans for support of the 2 levels above that, they had to cut perpendicular lines. And so I can't remember how many, it's like 10 cuts they had to make through that old foundation to get the new foundation in there. And so that took a while. You can see the old City Ice and Fuel plant building on the bottom left. It was a significant building. It's a huge foundation. But we're catching back up again, getting concrete poured. And then this is kind of where we're at right now. We finally got a mason on site, and they are starting to build that exterior wall. And so even given the weather right now, we're looking at putting up the scaffolding that the mason needs. They can enclose that scaffolding and heat it, and they can continue. The primary challenge to date has been just trying to get this thing above grade. Once they get it above grade, it's just the pace of the project should pick up. I think I showed you these. This is kind of what we're working towards, a very rough kind of template of what we're working towards. In terms of a schedule, we're in that kind of box right now. There are lots of concurrent actions going on at once on the site as we try to catch up to some of the delays that we've experienced in the fall. On track to really close this thing out in April and June. Just some of the notes. I'll try to be quick here. We are working with Lakewood Community Ice on that second floor training space. The build out of that training space, we're looking at 3 components right now. I think I might have showed you this in the summer. We are working with University Hospitals on a physical therapy rehabilitation space, which will be something new, both for Lakewood community as well as UH, and a physical therapy that does general physical athletic therapy as part of Drzezinski Sports Medicine Clinic, but also one, and really the first one for their whole system, and the first one in the region that would be exclusively focused on ice sports. And so that's something that we're working with them on. We're working on a physical training aspect through T3 Sports, which is the closest location for them is Avon right now. And then we've started working with Lakewood High School and their construction trades. They are going to be the ones that are going to build out the Lakewood High School locker room once that space is constructed, which I think is a good partnership and a good project for them as they're going into their winter months and they can't build garages. They're going to start working on the templates and the lockers for their own athletes. Talk a little bit about the HVAC equipment replacement. So right now I believe there are 7 or 8 units on top of the building that have been replaced over time. So the estimate and really the work that Train did, about 3 months of engineering work on the building, looking at that system, it's grossly over-engineered and grossly inefficient. And so they are working to, we're going to get that down to 2 main large units, one that feeds each rink. There's redundancy that's built into that, but it is an extremely expensive. There's engineering, there's structural aspects to that center soffit that have to be done to accommodate those units. So we are, based on that estimate that we received, we believe we can get the current system through 2026, avoid another shutdown and some other aspects of this, and really attack this in 2027. And that'll help kind of flatten as much as we can the capital budget expense for this facility. But then that'll complete the capital plan for this facility for hopefully another 50 years. It's on there. And so that is something that I continue to, and we'll continue to work with Train this year on that engineering and getting prepared to do that project. And so those are, I think I've hit on all these in terms of our 2026 and strategic plan beyond there. Finish the locker rooms, begin the HVAC replacement, and we'll always continue to grow those public opportunities and maximize the use of the facility for the community. So those are the old numbers from the last. I apologize for that. The current numbers and the updates, we've worked with finance to get those into the capital plan through 2026. So putting any questions, that's all I have on winners.
Director Byington, is that the conclusion? Okay. All right. Thank you. Great action-packed, information-packed event or a presentation. We're over running on time. I'm sure council members have questions. Council members, I just emailed Director Byington and Mr. Boss a few questions. Maybe that's a time savings we can, for just informational requests that follow from the presentation, but can wait until after some really good programs and priorities that you've been working on. Thank you. I'm going to quickly rapid fire a couple things. First, I want to compliment Sophia and your staff, who's been doing really effective work in convening the Walk and Bike to School Working Group steadily. That's really starting to have an impact in coordinating all the many moving parts of parents, the city, really multiple departments in the city, and then the school district. And there's more ahead of us, but her diligence and steadiness has been important. I think Councilman Evans has experienced that. I know Councilman Baker follows that and sometimes participates too. So compliments to her. For new work requests, just little seeds to plant. I mentioned some of these to Public Works, but as I reflect, it may well belong or be more effectively partnered with planning, and that would be a scheduling system for pickleball, a small but cared about priority for some people. They're saying our capital facilities are nicely done, but people can't use them because there's no system reserve time or make people move along. So they'll hog the courts, and a lot of users just go to Cleveland. So it seems that there could be an inexpensive solution there, certainly less expensive than building new courts. I mean, maybe we do need to consider new courts incrementally here and there, but a scheduling system might be something achievable. Secondly, bathroom access at Lakewood, various Lakewood parks, not Lakewood Park alone, but all parks, is something that we've talked about annually. As I understand it, the Public Works Department is still considering how to get remote control, that's not the right term, but remote access electronic locks that could be controlled centrally. Literally, that's a request that predates the Georgia administration. I suspect that there's a solution that could be done more quickly. I know Councilman Baker has also put on the table something I appreciate, which is some kind of Wager Park bathroom access, even if it's just a porta-john. I don't know if that's the best solution, but the point is, I like the thinking because as we add that ability, which is expensive sometimes if it's permanent, you just multiply the value of our existing investment in private public park acreage. But again, that may be a planning department thing. Public art maintenance, has that been budgeted? There are a number of peeling murals. Some of them are really nice and charming, but they're lifting off in big sections.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, we had a discussion on that today for this upcoming budget year, and there is some dollars that we're going to put
Okay.
towards some maintenance of those murals specifically.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have numbers and a cost estimate because I haven't surveyed it systematically, but it does seem, especially the kind of wraps we're using or applications we're using, they're not going to last forever, so having some system to maintain what we've done a nice job of creating is important. And then, boy, I know, I don't know, David, if you do planning or architecture board review, which you clerk, but the Winterhurst renderings, those elevations are not complete, let's say. I think we really do need a phase 2 for some architectural treatments or public art improvements, especially since they're a gateway. That I'm
There will
stating
be.
obvious, but
Yeah, so that was one of the comments that came from June and July when we talked about it. I need to get that exterior wall up at least in its portion, and start working with. I'm
So do
already
you
working.
mean that's not a complete rendering yet that we're seeing? Or
That is a construction rendering, basically. There's an intention, and we will follow through with the mural was on there, the existing mural. I'm already communicated with the artists, going to work with them on getting that back up, resized, rescaled, and back up.
Okay, so I misunderstood. The existing budget has some capacity to do more than we saw on that slide?
It should be part of the contingency that work, but
Okay.
it is our intent that we're going to continue working with the landscaping and public art. Yeah.
I know we're going to get fan mail from the public, and it would be well-deserved. I mean, if it's a city-owned facility and that's what we're putting forward, it's going to be worth the investment of being intentional about the.
Just trying to get it built for the, like,
Yep, I'm not
I
trying to
won't
make
say
the
the
glass
lowest
half full. I
price as
just-
possible, but it is a recreation facility. It's not a work of architectural masterpiece. It is a
Yeah,
functional building.
but it is our gateway, right? And it's also something that we own. And so if we're setting the standard for all the private investors, I appreciate everything you're doing, and I think you're doing a great job. So it's not a glass half empty thing. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, and I don't mean to give you that it's a final rendering. There will be, like I said, there will be signage, there will be public art, there will be landscaping. It's just, it is literally at this point based on capacity and focus. It is a subsequent effort that
Okay.
I should have included on there as 2026.
No problem. I
Yeah.
just
Yep.
triple checking. Okay, other council members, Councilman Striebeck or Mr. Baker, first on the committee?
I do have just one.
Okay, Councilman Striebeck and then Councilman Hamilton Steiner.
Just one, Director Byington, if you could just talk briefly about the Madison Park improvements and the neighborhood meetings and the efforts to let the neighbors know that these meetings are going to be held. Are we going to be putting in signs on the curbs to let people know when these meetings are going to be held? I saw someplace recently where I was driving along, and there was a big information neon flashing sign. I mean, we might have to come to that so that we make sure that everybody is getting this information that these meetings are coming.
Thank you. Yeah, so Michelle Notka from our department kind of spearheads the public outreach. And I wasn't here for some of it, but yes, I know that she works with, Friends of Madison Park to get stuff out. We do social media. I believe they may have put signs in parks in the past saying that, the meetings were coming forward. So we can always do a better job. So if there's other ideas, I welcome them, but we do try hard to get the word out there, but we can always do better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Hamilton Steiner.
Thank you, Chair Bullock. I just want to first, Director Byington, I appreciate that you noted council priorities in the projects and initiatives and the core services of your presentation. So I think that's something that I would appreciate other departments also doing where applicable, so that we can see that it's noted that that we have that shared priority, shared interest. And then is there a plan to increase the public art around the schools as a way of traffic calming?
So, as you know, we're going through the public art master plan process right now. So I don't know exactly what's going to come from that process, but that could be. So no, to answer your question, we don't have a plan to do that right now, but that's not to say that we won't in the future.
Yeah, I just know it's been very popular in the community. A lot of people have commented, not just Hayes families, and just it's gotten a lot of social media hits. I think when I don't know if it was the city or the school made a post about it, and it took off on social media. So yeah, so it's been a big hit. And then the last thing is, as far as the climate action plan, and it'd be kind of cool if we had a dashboard so we can see like how we're progressing along on each of these, how far along we are to hitting that 50. So just something to think about.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Other council members? Councilwoman Keppel?
Thank you. And thank you for the great presentation and all that you guys are doing. It's a very small but mighty department that does a lot of things, wearing a lot of different hats, so we appreciate your work. I just had a question on the budget book on page 80 with the Lakewood Hospital Fund. Director Mahoney, this might be you, but there was under contractual services, there's 5.4 million in 2025 and then 6.5 in 2026. Is that the loan for downtown development?
It is. We had anticipated that they wouldn't have drawn down much, and they have not yet. So the actual expend for 2025, I think we only given them like 600,000 so far. So yeah, that's why it was in 2026.
Okay. And then the professional services, what is that? Is that Bricker Graydon, or is that?
Is that in the under the hospital?
Yes.
So we do pay North Point Realty
Okay.
to manage some of our properties in the community health building over there. So, and then some dollars for improvements.
In EPA.
And the EPA, yeah, I think we are on our last round of monitoring for the EPA that we have to pay for.
Okay.
But yes, we are responsible for that too.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
And then, no, I think that's it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Keppel. Good points. And the improvements you're referring to, Director Byington, are on the hospital side or in the community health center building, the building north of the.
The community health center is what
Okay.
I'm referring to. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did another council person have any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the ground you covered, and also it is very helpful to get those updates on some really salient and important programs, so we appreciate it. Okay, Director Vargo, are you ready to rock and roll here? The
Yes,
tough
sir.
jury here.
Thank you, Chairman, members of council. Our law department, I think it's most meaningful to just describe the experience coming out of the department. I think that's the best metric. The work ethic is strong, so let me just get into the experience of these professionals. Starting with our two prosecutors, you'll see on that organizational chart Ms. Miranda and Mr. Fleck. You'll see their considerable years of experience in the criminal area. We have the added insight of Mr. Fleck having been a police officer as well. Important to note, these prosecutors have great credibility with Judge Neff, which is very important. There's no antagonism there, no complaints at all from the judge ever levied to me. Great credibility with the magistrates as well, and with opposing counsel. So they're very effective in what they do. A lot is asked of them. They're very open-minded. They on matters where I need to be involved in discussing items with them, they'd never resist it, and they would have great reason to resist somebody who's never tried a criminal case, talking to them about criminal matters, but they accept viewpoints, they reach consensus, and I think that just shows their professionalism. In the budget book, we show the number of cases that they process. That's not a very meaningful item to describe them because some matters are very routine, others are very extensive. But it is their experience that tells a good story. I'll move then to Assistant Law Director Jeff Crossman, whom you know as well. We have the benefit of Jeff's 19 years of experience working with developers. So he knows development agreements inside and out and is able to help us negotiate terms and draft terms. But just as importantly, he gives us insight on the strategies and customs of the development industry. So when we have a particular matter, he has great insight as to what the developer is seeking, what the developer really needs, and what they're just trying to get on a hope, but not necessary. So very instrumental in setting our strategy. That's a very unique experience for a law department to have. That fills an important need. And as you might expect, that's one that just about every hour that Jeff does on development agreements, dollar for dollar, would help us in saving outside legal fees. But for his presence in the department, our legal spend would be much greater. Moving then to Assistant Director Swallow, whom you all know, so many years of experience here, has built up tremendous institutional knowledge, and is irreplaceable at this stage. Very helpful to me. Again, in the budget book, we identify a number of ordinances worked on, but as you know better than anybody, some ordinances take 20 minutes. Others might take a few months. So that's not a good metric either, but your knowledge of Jen and what she does and her years of experience and judgment are what speaks for the quality of the law department. As a director this year, knowing their experience, the experience of the staff, I wanted to ensure that they were reaching a satisfactory salary for them. My experience is in the private sector. I know full well with these years of experience that most private sector attorneys command higher salaries or rates. But we do try to draw a right balance between lifestyle and work balance, and it's working. You'll see a budget increase of about 11%. That's mainly because of the prosecutors. I just wanted to bring them up a little bit more. We also brought the assistant, Ms. Antle's salary up, commensurate with their experience. So I think we're drawing the right balance there. The law department, I got to say, the group is very cohesive and professional, and I'm grateful to be a part of the group. So thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much. Council members, questions? Mr. Baker? Council President Keppel? Go ahead.
Yeah, and every, not that Ernie needs any backup on this, Director Vargo, but he's right. You got a great group of lawyers here, and they provide really good service to not only council, but the city in general. The one thing I've always been interested in, and we've talked about it at these budget hearings, is kind of like contract management and how we do that. Sounds like we kind of, we have some forms that we use, but we kind of review paper that other people send too. And it's just top of mind for me because we just went through a contract management software. We used to use our own internal system that kind of our IT department did, but now we use Agiloft, and we're kind of working with their contract management system. Has kind of an Adobe sign provision, and then it kind of like triggers review dates and, hey, this is when staff notifies them that they need to look at it to make sure that they're on top of it, so we're not out of contract when the automatic renewals are terminations. Have we ever looked into something like that to kind of maybe at the same time as finance is getting their new software or their new Tyler technology? Because a lot of these softwares do speak to each other, so you can kind of link up contract amendments and amounts with the finance software. And I actually think Tyler has a module for contracts. So I'm just curious if we've ever thought about that and tried to go down that road.
Yeah. Councilman, I'm mindful of the contract situation, and I know you brought it up the last two budget discussions we've had. We haven't looked into the software. I think we're in a unique situation. For instance, the contracts are not all the same. They are not uniform. They're not wrote in the department. We probably have maybe at most 2 or 3 concession agreements. We have probably 5 times the development agreements as we have concession agreements. The agreements, the contracts that are used by the engineer is highly technical language, comfortable use by the engineer. The law department, we look at the legal language, the indemnity language, et cetera. But the core of what the engineer is seeking an outside engineer's help on is known to the engineer and used according to its forms. So many of the agreements are department specific, and they are fed to the law department that way. It is not a law department top-down control of the contract. So that's why I think nobody has ever identified a need that we need to have some type of organization and knowledgeable control over all of the agreements, because it's so department driven, and the directors are on their specific agreements.
Thank you. I'd be interested in having more conversations with you offline, because I think there are some ways we can do it that aren't super cost prohibitive, but could provide maybe a little bit more management. Thanks.
Thank you. For the rest of us who are not attorneys, are you two discussing drafting and keeping changes organized and efficient, or is it quality control, or a combination of those things?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I work in a law department, and we have form contracts, so we typically don't accept the AIA documents, or for construction. I mainly do construction contracts and real estate contracts, so we don't accept the contractor's contract because it's typically favorable to the contractor. Now, Director Vargo is saying that they fight back and they make sure that those provisions are in line with what is respectful to the city. I think there's an argument to be made, and the argument that I'm pressing at is that if you start with your paper, you reduce fighting time with the contractor or the outside counsel. And what we typically do where I work is when we issue the RFP, we say, this is the contract we're using. So if you have a problem with producing a proposal to get this work, you need to let us know now.
Okay.
It's meaningful to our decision as whether or not contract.
So the concept is that some administrative tools could be supportive of the substance and the effectiveness of our RFP process and whatever else. But thank you for the dialogue, and that's helpful to have those insights. Okay, other council members, any questions?
I have one question.
Yes, Councilwoman Streetbaker.
Thank you. I'm looking at your organizational chart and the personal staffing page, and I didn't realize the Director of Law was a part-time position.
Thank you, Councilwoman. It is listed, I believe it's listed that way for administrative reasons and internal HR reasons, but there's no question that my phone's always on, my PC is always on, and I consider this a full-time position, even though it is technical and legally a part-time job right now.
That's interesting. And I guess then I start to wonder, and it is my understanding that, God forbid anything ever happened to Mayor George, that you are the second in line, right? And enlisted as I'm wondering if there are any implications or complications as a part-time employee.
I think maybe I can take this.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the law director has the option of being full-time or part-time, and what the law director is politely saying is that he's working for more than perhaps he's being compensated for, and we thank you for that civic spirit. And we'll get your next glass of wine after the meeting.
Thank
to,
you.
make
I
sure
will say,
you're made whole. But
Thank you.
And that doesn't speak to the other point you made, Councilwoman, on the charter succession.
Right. So I don't know if there are any issues with that. And then lastly, we have 7 people on the personnel chart here, and we have 8, and I'm missing like the 2 law clerks. Are they interns? Although I see them both listed as legal intern status. Are they paid employees, part-time employees?
they are, Councilwoman, they are law students at Case Western, or at Cleveland State, and so they work part-time as law clerks, supporting the prosecutors principally.
So there are 2 law clerks part-time then.
That is correct. And this was the first time we went with 2. That was at the request of our prosecutors. We had invested in training for 1 law clerk for a 2-year period, and she abruptly left. And I think the prosecutors, out of efficiency, said it would be good to have just slight overlap and have 2 in the event that ever happens again.
Okay, I'm just questioning because in this budget book, there's only 1. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? One for me on professional services that fluctuates over the years. It's going down pretty meaningfully in the proposed 2026 level from 146,000 to 107,000. Can you just give us a sense, Law Director Vargo, of what that covers? Typically, it's outside counsel. Maybe some of that activity is related to development, major developments like Lakewood Hospital redevelopment.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. The 2025 budgeted amount you're referring to, I think, is 146. That was the budgeted amount. We are running at about 36,000 as of now, so I don't expect that to even increase that much through the year. So we're way down to 36,000. The 107 is a very conservative number. It has been reduced, as you see, by 27%, and I hope to come in at the same 36 the $50,000 mark.
Okay,
next year.
that's good to know. In an ideal world, I guess the law, the finance department doesn't have actuals yet, but a couple of times we're happy to learn that the 2025 actual is trending towards significantly below budgeted. So that's good to know, because that way we're not adding those 2 columns where I think Councilwoman Keppel had another question where that was the same answer, where the current year was coming in under budget. But what drives that is that something you can plan, or is it all reactive?
It's all reactive, Chairman, and when we have the executive session to bring you up to date on the pending litigation, you'll see why.
Okay.
Those cases, unexpected, and the extension of them throughout the appellate process was unexpected.
So there could be
at each
litigation
time.
that we thought would move along in a calendar year, and it's actually extended to the next year.
That's one example, yes.
Okay. But also, so contractual work for developments, would that fall under your department partly? Or, for example, we're closing a bunch of contracts with Casto for the hospital redevelopment. Is that under planning or your department?
That has been in the planning, Chairman, but
Okay.
as questions arise, sometimes we'll open up a purchase order for the same law firm relating to the development, we
Okay.
being the law department.
And some of our internal time, but not outside counsel, will be devoted to things like that, like Mr. Crossman's time, I think. Okay, now I
Yes.
follow. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Any other points? Hearing none, I think you're released to go home if you want, or stay.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. We saved the best for last. Director Mahoney? Okay. We have a council member who needs to be time conscious, and I'm sure all of us do. So we're 8 minutes over. Director Mahoney, he's budgeted for 10 minutes, so I think we can all work together to keep to keep pretty lean here. I don't know what your drive time is.
So I just wanted to also introduce, because I know you guys don't see her too often, is Samantha Nicastro. She handles everything over at the annex for us, even though we call them the stepchildren sometimes, but they're, you know. But I'm happy that she's been added to our staff. And then, of course, you know Jessica Eddy. She's the budget guru that I couldn't.
Welcome, Samantha. Good to meet you in person.
So yeah, just a quick overview. We kind of already talked about this in the overview I did a couple weeks ago, but just part of our department is tax, vitals, and utility billing. And we are actually one less staff. In the previous, we had been budgeting for a budget manager, but Jessica is the assistant director and budget manager rolled into one. So happy to report we have one less staff budgeted. And as you all know, we do an annual financial report, and again, happy to report that in 2024 we received the award for from GFOA and also the Auditor of State Award, meaning there was no meaningful issues with any of our reporting, so all good. Income tax, which Samantha overseas, is responsible for collecting 55% of general fund revenue. She has a big job over there. They audit over 30,000 tax returns, and she keeps up on all the legislative updates. And their staffing is the same, has been the same for mainly a lot of part-time employees over there, and then some full-time too. You can see how many tax returns are filed in-house at the annex. They're pretty busy. In person, yeah. And this is our tax collection history. Always good to note that the credit and the tax rate have been the same since 1981. Collecting $30 million through the end of October, on pace to achieve just what was budgeted in 25. And then the e-files, and you can see those have steadily increased. A little drop there in 24, but this year we've already received more than we did in 24. Utility billing, they also have a big job over there. They collect $31 million a year, and they send out 14,000 bills per month. And there's the staff for the utility billing. Vitals, the one thing to note with them is that now in 2025, they can issue death certificates via the state system. So that has increased their traffic over there quite a bit. We are only one of 3 registrar locations, so it's Cleveland, Parma, and Lakewood. Often Cleveland shuts down and sends everyone to Lakewood, so we're extra busy. And they just have 2 people over there that take care of all the birth and death certificates. Like I said, the death certificate traffic has definitely increased because of the new state system. And I told you I could do it fast. So my focus for 2026 is, like Mike Coletta said, is our new payroll finance system, which is a big undertaking. It's general ledger, accounts payable, budget, capital assets, cash management, project accounting, purchasing, HR management, payroll with employee access, accounts receivable, cashiering, general billing, utility billing, and with all rolled into that is a content manager where you can have like the contracts attached to POs all electronically, nothing that we have right now. And my big goal is to have a nice payment platform for all the residents where they can pay their utility bill, hopefully incorporate the tax payments into there too, that they, their estimates or things like that. And, if they have a sidewalk bill, if they have a high grass bill, they can just all go to one spot and see If you look at the city of Maumee in your spare time, they have a nice platform that's Tyler, and you can kind of get an idea what my vision is, what it'll look like. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you. Council members? Mr. Baker?
I think you know what my question is going to be because I ask it every year. And I won't make
It's
it
in the
guess.
fee ordinance.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
So
that what you're going to ask?
Well, yeah, the question I'm going to ask is, you know, I appreciate the ability, and I think everyone does, to pay, you know, via credit card, but we eat the transaction fee is what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the convenience of that, and if you ran the numbers, it might be that you, but I have seen more often, and actually First Energy just went back on this, which is strange, is if you do auto pay now with First Energy, they don't charge you a transaction fee to use a credit card, but other places still do. So I believe Enbridge still charges a transaction fee if you use a credit card. And the reason I say that is that it's 3% we could be getting, or 2%, whatever it is we could be getting. And then if there is an issue with people who can't pay because of means, I'd be okay taking some of that money and putting it into like some sort of need-based account to help people with utility bills. So I have to ask. So
It is in the fee ordinance that council has for consideration, and we would pass on the exact fees. With Tyler, they have a payment management system, and we would only pass on the fees that they are charging us, which is about 3%. So, yes.
What ordinance is that?
It's in the fee ordinance, and I think it's worded based on the fees charged to the city. I wanted to keep it, there's a whole bunch of legal things. You can't overcharge someone, so say you can't charge someone 3% and the city's only paying 2%. So I made it whatever the city's charged, that we can pass on that fees to the residents. And that will be included in the whole setup. Yeah, it's
Okay, so
thousands
you-
and thousands of dollars. Yeah.
So your answer is yes to
Yes.
Mr. Baker's question for the
Yes.
first time. And we can project, that's not a small amount.
Thousands of dollars. One estimate, like 300, over $300,000
Okay.
a year.
Thank
So
you.
this will more than pay for my finance system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The-
So, and just as a, so the finance system, the first year implementation, the estimate is about $350,000, but this is my third implementation. I'm sure hoping we can be most efficient, and you're only billed for the hours that they're charged. After that, the annual maintenance is guaranteed for 5 years at $147,000, which is not much more than we're paying for a 25-year-old system currently.
Okay, so, and now, in support of fairness to the taxpayer, of course, we're going to need to make clear that there's a transaction fee, and I suppose some transaction fee traffic will, the fact that there's a fee may divert to other forms of payment, so we may come in a little less, but nevertheless, it's a valid point. Other council members? I have a couple quick questions. Councilman Keppel?
Thank you, and thanks for the quick and informative presentation. Very excited about the new system, and definitely will make it a lot easier for folks, everyone, internally and externally. So thank you for your leadership in that. I have a question, page 70 of the budget book on the utility billing budget. The 12 million in debt service for 2026. Can you remind us a little bit about
That is the note principal on the OWDA loan. So that is, what's that for?
lead service? Vice President Baker's suggesting, is that the lead line?
Is it the, it's more than that. Yeah, well, I'll have to get back to you on that, but it's definitely, yeah, OWDA loan payments.
Ohio Water Development Authority. I think that's water line. I think.
Water improvement, yeah, I'll get back to you though, for sure.
Okay, it's just,
Yep.
Are
It's a big
you're
number.
proposing to pay cash for that amount, or I don't understand?
No, that's just the debt service on that. I'll have to get back on that.
so I don't get myself confused, so maybe when we're corresponding, we could explain, is that 12 million in new debt that would be paid over time, or is that
That would be
expenditures that belong just to that fiscal year?
just in '26.
Okay, so are we, it's notes and bonds, one flipping to the other, or,
It's
Mechanics
neither.
of all
It's
this.
from the Ohio Water,
okay,
Loan.
it's a pass-through, in other words.
yeah.
It's their revenue, it's on our books, we're expending it.
No, they loaned us the money for, yeah.
The revenue source was them, now it's our dollars, and now we're allocating those dollars. That's what this proposal says.
It would have been to pay for water improvements. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, so. Yeah, I'll get back to you on the
Okay.
detail on that, but
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Councilwoman. Anything else?
That's it. It's, you know, jumps
It's a
out at
lot.
446%
Yeah.
increase. So I just wanted
Yeah.
wanted clarification on
yeah,
that. So
I'll
thanks.
get that back to you.
Okay, other council members? Quick rapid-fire questions from me, and they're easy. Death certificates, do we charge a fee, and is there an opportunity to make revenue with that increased traffic?
We do charge a fee. Birth and death are both set by the Ohio Revised Code at $25. Ohio takes a large portion of that. I think Lakewood makes around, it's under $12. It's $11 and some change, or maybe $12 and some change from that $25 fee.
Okay,
There's no
not that
way we
we're
can
trying to
increase
make a
it.
profit, but it offsets our costs. Is that true?
It offsets the cost of the security paper that we also pay for from Ohio. It does. I mean, there's not too much. The security paper for the death certificates is the primary expense of that office outside of salaries.
But yeah, the personnel. is
Yeah,
what
the
I was-
personnel. With the death certificates, we have seen a massive uptick since we've been able to issue statewide death certificates. Usually that department can issue 50 to 80 death certificates a month, and those are specific to Lakewood located deaths. Now that we can issue statewide like birth, we have done 230 in 2 weeks.
I guess what I'm saying is when neighboring communities come and use our office,
Yeah.
are we losing money on that service, or are we even?
No, we're gaining money because, it's just they're printing more copies, and we're able to serve Cleveland deaths too, even Lorraine. We've gone out as far as Lorraine. Funeral homes coming to our office.
So is it cash neutral to the city or slightly positive?
Probably slight, I don't know how much the paper is.
Okay.
It would
Paper's a
definitely
lot.
not cost the city. I would-
Okay.
Yeah, it
That-
does not cost
That's
the
the general
city.
thrust. I just want to
Yeah.
understand the concept. I mean,
It would
the
be a
reason
slight positive
okay.
because it's not $11 per sheet of paper.
We provide this as a convenience, I think, to our residents primarily. I mean, we don't have to, or are we required to have this department?
We are not required to have this
Okay,
department.
so we do it, and we've done it for years, and that's
Yeah, I think it stemmed from the hospital being here too. There was a lot of more traffic.
That's
But
a good
now that they've
point.
opened it up statewide, we have
Okay,
exceeded expectations.
Yeah, thank you for letting, answer that question. Okay, the tax e-file, is it possible that our package can improve as part of this new software package?
It is not part of the Tyler package. They don't have a tax software, but.
We'll just pay it on the portal.
Oh, right. It would just, that's my vision. I'm hoping that'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, like something like
But
quarterly
the
bills.
calculation of the 1040 easy or whatever it would be,
That would still have to be with the tax software, MITS. We would not be able to
There's not
have
many
it calculated through Tyler.
I mean, I used to be a Schedule C employee, I'm no longer, but I think I tried last year, and I still couldn't get it to work. I'll keep trying. I'm a sample size of 1, but my point is that, perhaps that's worth an investment by the city if we think that would improve effectiveness, convenience, or collections.
And I would like to see a more effective e-file site. It is one of our bigger complaints that we get, besides just having a tax alone, that it is not the most user-friendly site. We have built guides to assist people on the phones and to help them learn it better, but it is one of our weak points is the e-files, navigating the e-file site.
Thank you. We've talked about it over the years. I think the feedback previously was, hey, it's expensive to custom code
Yeah.
what it would be. Maybe that's still the case. But again, if we took a multi-year view, maybe it'd be worthwhile to do that. And that's my last question, is if we go back to the slide for revenue collections, they've been going very significantly up over the years. In the early years, it was, this predates a lot, most of us, that Lakewood left RETA and invested in our own tax department collections and collection system, and the rationale was we thought we could do a more efficient and effective job, and that we were improving year by year on fewer truancies and non-filers. Is that still the case, and is that part of why our tax receipts have been going up? That second column says changing collections, or is most of what we're looking at a reflection of rising median incomes in Lakewood?
I would think a big chunk of this rise in collections is the delinquencies, but also the switch to work from home. We have seen a shift in our withholding accounts where we collect more withholding each month from residents working from home and working only in the city of Lakewood now. They're no longer working in a city and then having to pay Lakewood. It's coming right out of their paychecks.
So that took effect in 2021?
Yeah.
In the COVID, okay, so that jumped.
Mm-hmm.
But some of that is other reasons too, right?
Yeah, the median household income definitely plays a part in that. And I ran the numbers, and it's not included in this slide, but we have been able to keep our cost of collections under 4% of the $33 million. So steadily since we've left RETA in 2005, there were some spikes, some definitely lower years, especially during the recession years, but it has stayed under 4%.
That's really good work. Thank you. Maybe use a informational request later. I know we're out of time tonight, but it'd be interesting to see the breakout of those various trends. Reduction of truancy, our own internal costs, the work from home bump, and the median increase bump. Hope that's not a ton of work, but that would be very instructive information for us. And then if we're going to add a new category of income where we're no longer going to comp fees, I mean, it's a good point that Mr. Baker's been making. It's kind of an industry norm is that you, even for charitable donations, you're typically encouraged to pay the transaction fee, and people do. So we're doing a stronger and stronger job on the revenue side, and that's meaningful. So I personally would welcome the chance to study up a little further, more deeply. That's all my questions, Councilwoman Keppel.
Oh, I just wanted to mention too, in addition to being very efficient by, as you mentioned, saying the cost, we do actually, I see all the time people complimenting the tax department, which is really kind of remarkable because people complain about everything on social media, and then whenever someone's like, how do I do my taxes? I don't know what to do. And they're like, oh, just go to the tax department. They're really nice. So I just wanted to point that out. Very few.
It's a tough job sometimes.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that, but to make it as painless as possible. So
I will share that with the staff. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of our agenda for tonight. Council members will continue working between now and next Monday on council budget priorities, form submissions, and drafting with the administration some potential amendments for consideration. You should see that before next Monday. I'll share with the administration and council so that there'll be a chance to consider options in an organized manner. We don't have time tonight to delve into that, but we've been having effective and good deliberations, I think. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you for the hard work and clear presentations by the administration. Without objection, we are adjourned.
Yes.